Give your student confidence before college starts. Visit huntsman.usu.edu/undergraduate to sign up.
These days, many companies have turned to influencers to tout their products or services. But here at John Watson Chevrolet, the only endorsement we need is from our customers. Because of their feedback, we're proud to be Utah's best reviewed Chevy dealer. Visit us today to see why we get reviews like,
"Their sales team is the best. Didn't put on any pressure, just super helpful and fun. They made the process a breeze."
John Watson Chevrolet, your 5-star Chevy dealer. 3535 Wall Avenue, Ogden. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today. 801-210-6800. That's 801-210-6800.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Deep, deep discounts. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
97.5 KZNS-FM Colville, 1280 KZNS-AM Salt Lake City, and KSL-FM HD2 Salt Lake City Midvale. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. As Hans Olsen has moved on to the corporate world, we're looking for the next great Utah sports radio talent.
There's something for everyone.
While we do that, you get stuck with this guy.
Hey, everybody, here's our star.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, folks, let's get it. It's a Friday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is a show that has been in the making for quite some time. And unfortunately, it's a show that many of you are going to get very angry about. You're going to send nasty tweets. You're going to probably tweet at Hans and saying, why did you leave this moron by himself because he's screwing everything up? Look, I get it. I understand. But you're going to get mad every year we do this, and that's kind of the reason why we enjoy doing it, is because it is our re-rank show for the top 60 and 60. We will rank the top 25 players in the state of Utah from the 2025 season. It's that simple. We will go number 25. We'll go all the way to number 1. And can't wait. We got a lot of great people to help us out. Josh Furlong with the Utah angle. Mitch Harper from a BYU angle as well. Jake Hatch is even going to come by and hang out with us. We're going to have a great time. But more importantly, we got to hit this home because there are certain places that we just absolutely love to go to. And this is right there at the top of the list. Kenny J's Barbecue in the district in South Jordan. I am a barbecue snob, and I'm more than happy to admit it. you know what? I'm not a sports snob. I respect every team. Lloyd, you know this. I'm a fan of what your Raiders are building there. Like I do not discourage anybody for their sports takes. I do not discourage anybody by how they look or how much money they make. I don't judge.
This isn't a We Don't Lie Wednesday. We bringing that back?
No. This is full honest. You know what? There's one thing I will judge you by. If you serve me bad barbecue, I immediately think you're a bad person. If I get bad ribs, if I get bad brisket, if I'm over at your house and you serve me bad barbecue, I immediately think that you're a failure in pretty much every aspect of your life. That is where I'm at with barbecue. I love great barbecue. And I'd like to think if you came to my house and you judged my barbecue, I wouldn't mind if I gave you bad brisket and you thought poorly of me for it, you know what? You're right. But I'd like to think if you did come to my house and you had barbecue, you'd be like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm pretty proud of the barbecue that I put out. In fact, it's to the point where, and I told Kenny this here at Kenny J's, when I go to a barbecue place, I will not get ribs. I refuse to get ribs at barbecue places because I don't want to spend money on something that I know I can make better than they can. Because I've never had ribs that are as good as the ribs that I make at home on my smoker. Until I came here to Kenny J's Barbecue, and we had a lunch here. It was probably a little over a year ago, and they had us down here, and we tried some food. And Kenny was like, "Hey, you got to try these ribs." And I'm like, "Kenny, I just don't want to try them, man. I don't want to have a bad impression when we're about ready to start a partnership. I just don't want to have a bad impression on those ribs." He's like, "Try the ribs. Don't be a baby. Try it." And guess what? He kicks my butt. Absolutely annihilates my ribs. And not just, it's not neck and neck. No, it's a wide margin. It's like a Tiger Woods drive versus a Mike Weir drive. Like, that's the difference between those two, is the difference between Kenny J's ribs and my ribs. And that's the quality you're going to get here. And it is a Friday, which also means, Lloyd, you ready for this? Burn ends on a Friday.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I have not had their burn ends. This is something that I will be trying for the first time, and I cannot wait to get their burn ends. All right, we got a lot of great stuff going on. Again, as we mentioned, our re-rank show, we will kick that off today at 1 o'clock. And then also keep in mind, Craig Bullerjack, the great Craig Bullerjack, will join us coming up at 12:30. So we haven't had a chance to talk to Buller in a while. He'll join us coming up at 12:30. And maybe we can get Buller to toss his name in the hat for the co-host job. You know what? Look, I used to produce Buller and Gordon back in the day. I think Buller's probably got better things on his plate than to slum it with me every day on the radio. But
that would take time from him and his grandkid. I know he's loving every moment of that.
Yeah, I'm not getting in between that. That dude is on cloud 9 with that grandkid, and it's really cool. So we will talk to Buller coming up at 12:30. Talk about the Utah Jazz, and see if Buller has any comments on the so-called, well, not so-called, but the fine that hit the Jazz for $50,000 or $500,000. And you would think that now that the bar is set, that it's going to apply to everybody, right? Well, no, not so much. Let's get to it. Starting lineup right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to kick off the show with the biggest headlines of the day. This is your starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, let's go to Washington and talk about the Wizards. That's right. I know we spent a lot of time breaking down Wizard basketball here on this show in Salt Lake City. Last night, the Washington Wizards defeated the Pacers 112-105. Washington sat starters Keyshawn George and Trey Johnson, both who played in Friday's Rising Stars exhibition. They sat them not for the entire game. No, they sat them for the fourth quarter. The two played approximately 19 minutes apiece and then were promptly shut down in the fourth quarter. And then, a lot of people are like, well, Trey Johnson, coming back from injury, it's legitimate. Well, okay, you know what? The Jazz said the same thing about their guys. Hey, that was a legitimate minutes restrictions. They hit the fourth quarter, and we shut them down like like our doctors told us to,
Hey,
like the
didn't
training
Trey
staff
Johnson,
told us to.
Didn't Trey Johnson play in the Rising Stars?
He did. He did. Yep.
Okay.
He played, and that was just 48 hours previous.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
So I fully anticipate that coming soon you will see a $500,000 fine being assessed to the Washington Wizards for messing with the integrity and the fan experience of the NBA. You know, and we don't talk about the fans enough. So let's go there. Let's talk about the fan experience here for the Utah Jazz. What has been the overall impression of you, the Jazz fan, on this so-called conspiracy with the NBA? All right, where are you at on this? Because I see your tweets, and I talk to you at here at Kenny J's or wherever the case might be, and you all say the same thing. The NBA stinks. The NBA is out to get us. We don't like Adam Silver. We don't like what's going on in terms of them targeting us. We don't like being picked on, and we feel like we're being singled out for something that everybody in the league has been doing. That's the fan reaction. So if Adam Silver is out here trying to protect the fans like he's saying, well, wait a minute. If you're trying to protect the fans, and yet in doing so, you ticked off every single solitary Jazz fan, are you really protecting the fans? Because the fans here in Salt Lake City, they're not happy. They like exactly what's going on with the Utah Jazz. Because as soon as the trade went down with Jaren Jackson, the Jazz signaled to every Jazz fan, hey, we're in business. And we just got to finish out this year and try to get a top 3 draft pick, and we're off and rolling next year. Like the Jazz signaled to their fan base, they're done tanking after this year. You trade for Jaren Jackson. You give up a significant amount of assets, and you say, hey, we're getting a 26-year-old that still has 4 years on his contract that's going to pay him nearly $50 million a year. So we're on the hook for nearly $200 million to this guy. We're not tanking anymore. Now, does that mean that we still need to finish the job this year? Yes. And every Jazz fan knew it. So the Utah Jazz did everything the right way. They've gotten themselves in a position now. Last year, unfortunately, it was only able, and now I only say only, I think Ace Bailey has a chance to be great, but the Jazz had the worst record in the NBA, and they got pushed all the way down to 5. All right, so we got screwed out of that. Then the following year, we're doing everything we need to be doing. This team's far more competitive than they were last year. They're already ahead of schedule in terms of wins over last year. They trade for a 2-time All-Star, a former Defensive Player of the Year, who's only 26, going into the prime of his career. You pull a trigger on that trade, and you're ready to rock and roll. You're ready to go. The Jazz have done it the right way, and this fan base has embraced what the Jazz have done, especially since that Jaren Jackson trade, because all of a sudden it's like that gallon of milk when you were in college. You saw that expiration date pop up about 3 months after you took the last sip. Yeah, you know what? It's the same thing. There now is an expiration date on the tanking, and it is the end of April 2026. Because as soon as this regular season's over, the Jazz are done tanking. They're all in. Now, do they want to make sure that they get a top 3 pick? Yeah, absolutely they do, because that's the smart thing to do. Everything they've done has been calculated, everything they've done has been smart, and everything has been in accordance to the plan. And every Jazz fan has been aware of that plan. And there may have been some of you out there that were a little grumpy before the Jaren Jackson trade, and I get that. But I can't imagine any of you are still upset at the Jazz organization for this path they've taken since the Jaren Jackson trade. That trade signified we're done, we're going all in, and we're going to try to win games. But we still have to finish the job this year. And Jazz fans are like, fine, yeah, we get that. We totally get that. So let's go. But no, Adam Silver's got to jump in because Oklahoma City's all cranky. And more importantly, I'm trying to think of the right phrase. Shams said it, and it was beautifully put by Shams yesterday. And I'm going to pull up the tweet because it is really easy to read between the lines on what he's trying to say in terms of what's going on with the Utah Jazz. By the way, we'll get to this coming up here in a bit, but Commissioner Adam Silver informed. Now, this tweet came out yesterday afternoon near the end of our show, 2:54 p.m. And it says, Commissioner Adam Silver informed the league's 30 general managers on Thursday that the NBA plans to make anti-tanking rule changes for next seasons. Here's the line you need to look at, because this says everything you need to know. Everything you need to know about this situation is right here on this next sentence. Stakeholders have been intensifying dialogue about combating tanking. All right, who are stakeholders? All right, are your owners stakeholders? Well, I guess you could classify them, but stakeholders essentially means these guys have skin in the game. How do they have skin in the game? Advertising dollars. All right, Kenny J is a stakeholder here in the zone. We need to do well for him to do well. We are a partnership. We want you to come to Kenny J's. We want Kenny J's to be successful because we love this barbecue. We love Kenny, and we love everything about what they're building here. Love the story, the background, everything. Well, guess what? FanDuel and DraftKings are looking at the NBA, and they're seeing prop bets get thrown out the window right and left, and everything getting shot to hell because, like, well, the Jazz are playing playing their guys through the three quarters, and then we set these lines in the fourth quarter and fourth quarter scoring and all of this stuff, and it gets thrown out the window because all of a sudden the Jazz say, nah, you guys are done. We're not playing anymore. That messes with our business. And stakeholders don't like bottom lines being messed with. They don't like their consumers being upset, because I guarantee there were people that lost bets on that Jazz game. I guarantee there were a bunch of people that went up and said, hey, we want our bet voided because the Jazz screwed us over. And, of course, FanDuel and DraftKings said, no, you're screwed, so deal with it. But at the end of the day, they're going to say to Adam Silver, fix this. And Adam Silver said, okay, all right, let me do this. I'm going to find a sacrifice out there. I'm going to find a sacrificial lamb that isn't, at least in my opinion, won't cause me a lot of problems. So I'm going to kick downhill. I'm going to find a team in a mid-market, and I'm going to just beat the heck out of them. And so here we go. Utah Jazz has to be that sacrificial lamb. They get fined $500,000. And he says, look, yeah, we're not messing around anymore. And then he tells the rest of the league, hey, we got rules coming. And we'll talk about those rules a little bit later on in the broadcast. But he says, look, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. Not because of the fans. This tweet does not say anything about fans. Because, as we mentioned, Jazz fans are perfectly fine with what's going on. The Philadelphia 76ers fan, in the whole trust the process. That was the message that was given to their fan base, like, trust the process. Yes. Is it going to suck? Uh-huh. Are we going to try to get better? Yes. Is it going to take some time? Yeah. Are we going to lose a lot of games along the way? Yes. Everybody knew what it was. You don't say trust the process when you're trying to win a championship that year. But yet we all knew what they were doing, and everybody's like, oh, okay, well, that's one way to do it. And now other teams have done the same. You go all the way back to the Spurs sinking everything so that they could get Tim Duncan. Greg Popovich essentially firing his coach and making himself coach and finding a way to get Tim Duncan. Like, this has been going on forever. We all know that. And so now, what is different now than what we've seen in the past? It's the stakeholders. And by stakeholders, he means FanDuel, DraftKings, all the other things that are involved in that. So, yeah, I mean, it is the old adage, Lloyd, it is what it is. Follow the money, and that is why the NBA is doing what they're doing. And again, the tweet from Shams, and look, you know Shams is a voice piece for the NBA, for the owners, for the coaches, for Adam Silver. And look, Woj was the same way. These guys know what they have to do to maintain their connections. And sometimes they have to say a few things to try to stay on the good side so that they can break news right and left about trades and free agent signings. And so they're like, hey, look, you owe me one, Shams. I need you to tweet this out, that we're taking this seriously and that we're going to have rules that are in place. And Shams is like, okay, well, I got to say why you're doing this. And he's been told, no, don't say anything about the fans. Say the stakeholders, because the stakeholders want their voice to be heard. It's such a...
And by the way, you were all over this from the very, very beginning when you said follow the money. Follow the money.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's not about the fans. It's not about the integrity of the game. Follow the money, and that is what it's all about.
I mean, honestly, if I'm FanDuel or I'm DraftKings, I find a way to lean into it. I'm like, okay, who's the next one to be fined for tanking? We got 2-1 odds on the Jazz. We got 3-1 odds on the Pacers.
Oh, I love it. So
I mean,
on
look,
teams. You can gamble on anything.
Yeah, never let a crisis go to waste. Come on, let's have some fun. Hey, the next rule that's going to be installed by the next rule installed by Adam Silver will be evening the draft odds. That gets 5-1 odds. You know, it's just, look, you can bet on anything. You can find anything to make a wager. This thing's getting out of hand. It's ridiculous. We all know what's going on. Don't try to hide it. Just own it. Just absolutely own it. Just say, look, you know what? The integrity of the league was thrown out the window a long time ago. We all know that this is a dog and pony show. We all know this is about entertainment. We all know that, hey, we as a league, we've been fudging things from time to time to make sure that you, the consumer, enjoy our product. So, yeah, this is one more thing that we've been a part of that has been going on in the league for a long time and will probably continue to go on for a long time. I mean, they'll have some dopey rules that they'll install next year that everybody will find a way to circumvent and get around, and everybody will be fine with it because the next 2 draft classes after this one, they're not very good. They're not great. Look, there's a reason why people have been tanking like crazy last year and this year. Last year, Cooper Flag. This year, a 2003 caliber draft. Next year, yeah, there'll be a little bit of tank. Going to be huge because the next 2 draft classes aren't great. So Adam Silver's going to go and tell everybody next year, look, we got this thing under control. Nobody's tanking. Yeah, because nobody wants to tank. Because the draft class isn't very good. The year after, hey, look, we fixed it. Nobody's really tanking anymore. Yeah, because there's nobody we're tanking for. You see tanking when there's a light at the end of the tunnel and you see a prize in play. The last year, Cooper Flag. You know, the year before, or 2 years before that, you had Victor. This year, you've got this monstrous amount of people that are available. I mean, you could still get all-stars at 8, 9, 10. I mean, that's why Oklahoma City's throwing a fit. Because they're thinking, look, if we can get the Jazz to lose that pick and we pick at 9 or 10, we can potentially still find an all-star. We can still potentially find somebody who's going to be an integral piece of the puzzle that we can keep on the cheap for the next 4 or 5 years and really build this roster around. I mean, look, Oklahoma City's not blameless in this either. And so, I mean, it's small market crime versus small market crime to a certain extent. But honestly, it is what it is. We all know what it is, and we know it's a crock. But back to what I think is really interesting in this is when Adam Silver next year at the All-Star game gets up and says, we imposed tanking fines, we imposed these tanking rules, and it's working. And the year after that, he's going to do the same thing, his State of the League address at the All-Star game. He's going to get up there and he's like, hey, we fixed it. Look what we did. We fixed it. Well, it's a lot like, and I told this story yesterday, I was in a meeting with some bosses at a different company, different time, and they had spent a bunch of money on market research, and they came to me and they're like, you know what we need to do? We need to talk more NFL. And I'm like, you don't say. They're like, yeah, the numbers say this is an NFL town. I'm like, well, yeah, it is. And they're like, you know what? If we want to boost ratings, we got to talk more NFL. I'm like, you know what? You're right. We'll do that. And I immediately went to DJ and PK, and I went to all of our other hosts, and I told them nothing. I said, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't even worry. I didn't even tell them. I didn't even relay that message to them about talking more NFL. And because, look, it was like July, August. I knew we were going to be talking about NFL. So a couple months later, in November, same boss comes to me, and he says, hey, numbers are through the roof. I'm like, well, yeah, that usually happens during football season. And, every morning, you guys are talking to NFL. It worked. And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? I know. You just kind of roll your eyes and say, yeah, okay, yeah, it worked. Same thing. Adam Silver next year is going to say anti-tanking rules work. And it's going to be because there's nobody we're tanking for. The same year, Now, if there's a Victor-like prospect or a draft class like we have in 3 or 4 years, guess what? People are going to be tanking again at a high level. All right, we are live here at Kenny J's Barbecue, and I cannot wait to talk to my guy Kenny. Because the other thing about this, and when I talk about guys who claim to be great pit masters, if you will, is there's a element of a secret society. Like, you got to keep yourself. Everybody keeps that little trick that they do that makes them separate themselves for everybody else. Everybody does that except for Kenny. Like, you walk in and you talk to Kenny, and you're here every day, and you say, hey, Kenny, how did you do this? And you're like, hey, come in the back. I'll show you the smoker, and I'll show you the wood that we use. And it's not hard, and I will show you how to make this barbecue at home, which is, like, breaks every rule out there. But you know what? Barbecue is a community.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a guy in here a couple weeks ago. My friend brought him in, and he loved the pork belly burned ends, and he's tried it himself, and they didn't work. He's like, what can I do? And I gave him the recipe. I told him how to do every step. But yeah, I mean, if barbecue's a secret, then we wouldn't be where we're at.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have been telling me what to do.
And that's the thing. So. I mean, you've got people in Central Texas that you've talked to, West Texas. I mean, you've gone all over the place. You've experienced great barbecue, and you know what people like. And I told you my story about your ribs. Like, I'm like, I don't like going and getting ribs because I like mine, and yours blew mine out of the water.
And that story was when we were first open. They're even better now, actually. Like we're night and day from when we opened. It's pretty crazy.
And you were great at the opening too, but you've been fine tuning. I gotta imagine it's been a learning process for you.
It's been I've learned that I want to do the pit every day.
Yeah.
So it's just me and my daughter Ruby that do the pit the whole time. So
you don't deal with
we don't have anybody else doing the pit with us. It's just us.
You let Mama J handle all that other stuff.
She does everything else.
I love it. How's she doing? She around?
Oh, she's with our youngest up in Pocatello at a big track meet.
Oh, really?
High school track meet. So.
It might be the Simplot games.
Could be.
Yeah, that's a big deal up there.
Yeah.
All right, so you come in today. We've got the re-rank show. Everybody who mentions the show, we're going to give them 10% off.
Yeah.
I love it.
You mentioned that you're listening to the show, and we'll do a 10% off your order today. And we love the zone.
We got the is it pork belly?
No, so
this is our
brisket
burn ends today.
Brisket burn ends today. So we do them on Friday and Saturday. I only have, what we trim off for the week, and that's what we cook on Friday and Saturday. So it's limited. I have about 30 pounds a day.
Wow. To
go through, and then they're gone. So
it's that simple. You got to try the burn ends. I have not tried them. I'm going to try them later on in the show. I'm fired up about them. This is barbecue done right. This is the stuff you're going to get in Texas, right here in Utah. It's Kenny J's Barbecue in the district in South Jordan. Kenny's here to help you out. You can talk shop with him all you want. You can try the best barbecue in the state of Utah, bar none. Kenny J's Barbecue, 10% off if you mention the zone, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
One of Adam Silver's biggest problems is that he is not consistent at all, and he sets all these crazy precedents that he doesn't live up to, or he sets a precedent he could never live up to. He can't sit there and manage Will Hardy's lineup.
If you want to say conduct detrimental to the NBA, that could be every single night in the NBA with what happens with rotations or who's available and who's not available that doesn't apply to the player participation policy. The Jazz can rest Yusuf Nurkic all they want. He's not in the player participation policy, but if suddenly the NBA says, well, that's detrimental to the NBA and we're going to fine you anyways, then this opens a can of worms that you can't enforce every night because you can't fine your teams every single night they step on the court.
Because he doesn't care about policy and never has. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Catch Jake and Ben weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The 11th Annual Salt Lake Off-Road and Outdoor Expo, coming February 27th and 28th at Mountain America Expo Center. 5 halls full of eye-popping side-by-sides, 4x4s, SEMA builds, trophy trucks, and display vehicles. Don't forget to ask for Expo specials on parts and cool accessories. $40,000 in prize drawings, plus celebrity spotlights, with Colt Builds It, Peck Brothers, and Trail Meter. Sponsored by R1 Industries and Sound Warehouse. Get your tickets now.
Utah, you know sports, and nobody connects with fans like the KSL Sports Zone. Every day, our loyal listeners tune in for the latest on the Jazz and the Mammoth, Utes, Cougars, and Aggies, high school sports, all of it live and local. If you're a business owner looking to grow, this is your audience. Engaged, passionate, ready to respond. And when you combine the power of the zone with digital tools like social, display, streaming audio, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a smart, full-funnel strategy built for any budget. Tap into the energy of Utah sports fans and drive real results. Learn more at kslsports.com/advertise. Hi, David James here for Soda Weight Loss. 2 weeks in, I am down 10 pounds. I am halfway to my goal, 50% of the way there. Why have I made such progress? Because Soda has put me in contact with a nutritionist who's got a program set up just for me. If I got to travel for a couple days, all kinds of tips to help make sure that I keep that sugar and sodium out of my diet, because that is why I gained the weight. The nutritionist is key. No shots, no pills, which is great because I don't want to take the shots and the pills. And also they're expensive. You want to be paying for that forever? Keep that money in your pocket. Learn how to eat right and exercise right. Take that knowledge and save money for a lifetime. Learn how to eat right with the help of a Soda nutritionist. You can find them online at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA, weightloss.com. Or call 866-800-SODA and talk to a nutritionist now. 866-800-SOTA, Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
These days, many companies have turned to influencers to tout their products or services. But here at John Watson Chevrolet, the only endorsement we need is from our customers. Because of their feedback, we're proud to be Utah's best reviewed Chevy dealer. Visit us today to see why we get reviews like,
buying a car should be a fun experience, like a kid getting a new toy. And at John Watson Chevrolet, it was.
John Watson Chevrolet, your 5-star Chevy dealer. 3535 Wall Avenue, Ogden. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at kslsports.com/contest.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends. Nice. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I was a highwayman, along the coach roads I did ride, with sword and pistol by my side. Many a young maid lost her baubles to my trade. Many a soldier shed his lifeblood on my blade.
This is what the cute girl at high school felt like. Because everybody's like, hey, I know we haven't talked in a while. How you doing? So, I'd be more than interested in coming in and talking about that. I'm like, I'm sure you would. Yeah.
Yeah, sure you would. Hey, I lost your phone number, but I did find it again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it for sure.
And by the way, just know that the chair is always open for you if you want to take a massive pay cut and hang out with us. It's right there.
You never know, man, Scotty. Maybe around the corner. You never know. You never know, buddy. But I appreciate that.
How you doing, by the way? You doing all right?
Yeah, doing good. The All-Star break came at a great time for everybody, and celebrated. You have a Brody. I have a Brody. He just turned 3-0, which put me in shock.
Wow.
But we had a good time, and no, it's good to be back. And there's highs and lows to every year, and we know what the Jazz are faced with, and 26 games to go, and looking forward. I think a lot of people in Jazz Nation looking forward to see how the summer works out, and the excitement of having Jaren Jackson Jr. Join this franchise could be an epic moment in franchise history, and we'll probably get the full taste of it in about 6 months' time.
So I don't want to get you into trouble. I know that you are representing the Utah Jazz, but
sure.
So you can say whatever you want. You cannot say whatever you want. I will never put you in a bad position. But when the Jazz make the trade for Jaren Jackson, that was the bat light to the rest of the NBA. Like, hey, we're done. After this year, we're done doing what you think we've been doing. It's over. We're going to finish the job this year and hopefully have a top 3 pick, and we're ready to rock and roll next year. And I think that was a symbol to everybody else in the league, like the Jazz are in business. They're not wasting away in bad basketball. They're ready to go. It just feels like the timing is really weird for the Jazz to be singled out.
It is, Scotty. I got to be honest. I'm just speaking for myself. Been at it with the Jazz for 21, and it's just a great, fun job to have. I mean, a great opportunity. I don't take lightly. But this has been going on in the NBA for a long time, and other teams have obviously benefited in the past, and the Jazz, I think, are just happen to be in the target sites right now of the NBA because things have gotten so, let's just say, fans have been frustrated. There's been more talk, and I think, with the money being paid out to this league, people want to see competition at its best, and I don't blame them. And right now, I think it's at a peak point, and just happens to be the Jazz are in that in the line of sight. And the $500,000 came down, and so be it. It's I guess part of the process. But I think, Scotty, we're seeing Adam Silver try to move ahead and try to find ways to move forward and keep this game as competitive as it possibly can. Because, in my opinion, the fans deserve it, and television contracts speak pretty loud too. By the way, with the money that's involved with the rights fees to the NBA. So, there's some ideas out there. They had, the 30 general managers on the phone and talking about what can they do. And I was just reading Sham's article again just a little while ago. Lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records. I mean, there's all sorts of things about freezing lottery odds at the trade deadline, perhaps. So when you hit the midway point, which is really almost a 3/4 way point, that basically you are what you are. And so, I don't know. I hope they can find the answers, because this game is too damn good for it to have this kind of hovering over their heads. And, again, the fan bases need to, appreciate the players and know when they come to an arena that they're actually going to see some high-level competition, because that's what they pay to see, Scotty. That's what, and you know that. I mean, that's the bottom line to it is, entertain me. It's this entertainment business, and it's kind of lost its way because the other storylines become more important, or I guess more headline worthy than the game itself. And that can't be. That just cannot continue to be.
Yeah. The thing that I think when Adam Silver gets in front of the press corps next year at the All-Star game in his annual State of the Union address, and he's going to say, we put these rules in place and they're working. And the next year he's going to say the same thing. We did this and it's working. And the reason why he's going to be able to claim ownership is because the next two drafts aren't very good. Like this draft is a generational type of draft. If this holds true to what people project, this is a 2003 quality NBA draft. Last year, it was Cooper Flagg, and everybody wanted Cooper Flagg. And you know what? Look, watching Cooper Flagg, you see why. A couple of years before that, it was Victor. And you see why San Antonio got extremely lucky to get Victor, because he is going to be a massive superstar in this league. Heck, he made people be competitive in the All-Star game for once because he took it that seriously. And everybody else is like, well, I guess Victor's out to win this. We got to do the same. So that's the impact these individual players can have, and it can alter franchises. And you can't tell me that the Jazz wouldn't be better off if they get a top 3 pick. The Jazz know that. The fans know that. They recognize that. And next year, guess what? Tanking's not going to be really that big because nobody's really going to want the number 1 overall pick or go sell out for it because they're not that good. But these generational types of players can impact the overall future of an NBA team, the overall value of these NBA teams. So I get it. I understand it. And I think fans get it as well. It just, you can't have a team just mired in mediocrity forever. And the to me, load management is a far bigger issue to the health of the NBA than teams trying to get an NBA draft pick.
Yeah, there is. You know, what's happened too, Scotty, it's really an interesting topic. It really is, because it's in the NFL. I mean, there's, what my point is that there's only preseason and 17, regular season games. They want to add another, and I don't think that's going to happen. Injuries so too high level in the National Football League. It's just, baseball has its 160 plus games, and that's a lot. And basketball is 82. I don't see them peeling back 20 games. Do you? To make the load management issue go away?
No.
And so there's again, each of those 20 games just have too much value financially. And think about you took 20 out, you lose 10 home games, and think of the money generated every night at Delta Center or FedEx Forum here in Memphis. That's not going to happen either. So you have to find a way to make both sides happy. But you've also got a large investment, Scotty, in most players. Most top 5 players on your roster is a heavy financial, not a burden, but it's a cost factor, right?
Yeah.
So you try to protect it, but then you can almost become overprotective because, look, injuries do happen. That's part of the game. Ask Kyrie, right? Kobe went through it. Memo tore his Achilles. I mean, it happens, game after game. To what severity, you don't know, but in reality, some players are going to miss games. I think we get stuck in a vacuum at times. And again, it goes back to the old day talk, all right, for a moment. I know people roll their eyes at that. But there were players at a time where they were able to play through injury. And I think Jazz fans got spoiled with 2 guys, especially with Stockton and Malone. I mean, those guys, and Jerry Sloan was a tough guy, okay? And so players who played for him, I think, felt guilty if they didn't lace it up and go play. But the 82 games used to be kind of was a badge of honor, and that's been lost too in this day of basketball. Can you imagine having a player go 82? I mean, it's almost like, no, you can't play back to back. Rest yourself so you don't get injured. So there's a lot of conversation about what's good for a player if you shut them down. Or if they do have an ankle sprain, for how long. I know the player knows his body better than anyone else, but it's an amazing conversation to have about load management and the integrity of the game at the same time, too.
All right, so let's talk about actual basketball. You got a good sample size of Jaren Jackson. There's a lot to be fired up about there, Bowler.
Oh, man. He's a real deal. I mean, he 2-time All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year, 22-23. Defender, can run, can shoot, spread the floor. It's going to cause havoc for defenses next year with Lauri Markkanen, and if Walker is the guy in restricted free agency, and the Jazz have him back. I mean, it's a monster front line that's going to cause incredible issues for defenses. Throw in Keontae, throw in Ace, throw in Isaiah Collier's speed and that off-balance set. If the two guards are on the floor at the same time, you see a lot of, off-ball Keontae, on-ball Keontae, whatever, however they, Will wants to work the combination. But Bryce Sensabaugh has developed. Filipowski shows promise. He's played probably out of position, as Will has mentioned, many times this season. So he's one that is intriguing as well. And, do the Jazz decide to bring Nurk back and a little K-Love just to have veteran presence and potential backup? Nurk, he said it. He loves it. And it's been a rebirth for Yusuf Nurkic in Salt Lake, and I think the fan base has embraced him as well, Scotty. But going down the roster, I mean, there's been growth, there's been development, but also when teams have become really good is when you find that extra piece that you bring in, like Jaren Jackson Jr. I don't know if Conchar and if Vince Williams Jr. Will be in the future of the Jazz, but they're trying. They're busting their tail right now. They're both defensive-minded guys that the Jazz desperately need to improve in that category. So I think the roster looks pretty intriguing right now. And again, it kind of goes back to these final 26 games, is who's going to make it, and are the Jazz going to really focus on minutes played by this younger group of players to see who sticks and who doesn't. That to me is maybe the most intriguing storyline of the final month and a half.
The interesting thing here is you look at the Jazz, and defense has been an issue. Perimeter defense has been an issue. And now you look at a potential starting lineup next year of Walker Kessler, and I know they got to work through the restricted free agency stuff, but let's just say for the sake of argument he's back. Walker Kessler, Jaren Jackson, Laurie at the 3, Ace Bailey at the 2, and Keontae at the 1. That is a massive, massive, lengthy front five that is going to cause some issues defensively.
Oh, you just said it. Length. And the fact, Scotty, that you have two players that have the ability to either attack, which Lowry has grown into even more so this year. I think he's a better ball handler. I think he's more confident, stronger in his game. So what do? Do you peel off him to double-team Jaren Jackson Jr. and leave Markkanen open to step to the corner or drive? Or do you lay off of Jaren Jackson Jr. and double-team Larry Markkanen? I mean, it's going to be a challenge every night for every opponent against the Jazz. And guess who smiles? Austin Ainge, Danny Ainge, Justin Zanuck. They're going to say, yeah, how about this, guys? And this is going to be around for a while. And that's the whole plan, is that the Jazz wanted to be not just a one and done or 2 years, potentially dominant, but they want a little longer run at being really a tough team to handle in the West and beyond, right? And Keontae and Ace give you a very athletic backcourt, and Ace, man, again, barely sticking his toe in the water, but you see flashes of what he can be and what he probably will become. And is he on the fast track? The Jazz hope so. He started the season, remember, Scotty, had illness and then had the hamstring. I remember he told me that hamstring's got a mind of its own. And it took him a while. But I was glad to see him get a shot to go to Los Angeles to play in the Rising Star competition. Good thing for him, and helps him kind of understand what it takes to be a major player in this league.
Bowler, you're the best, man. We appreciate it. Let's do it again next week. Okay.
What's your email and phone number again? Yeah.
You reach
just
out
if you want to put it out there for everybody. I mean,
I thought you were talking about for yourself. Yeah. No. Hey, you know what? Come on by. We're looking for the next great star. Let's do it.
Oh, man. Scotty, I love it, man. Hope you're well. Best of hands in his new adventure. I haven't had a chance to talk to him, but I know you guys had a long run together. It just doesn't happen in sports talk radio, for that long.
12 years. That's a hell of a run.
That's a hell of a marriage.
Yeah, I know. We're like already double what a average or triple what an average Hollywood marriage is. So we'll take that.
Absolutely, pal. You betcha.
All right, Bowler. Thanks, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Talk soon.
That is the great Craig Bowlerjack right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, what you may have missed, and then we rally the troops. Josh Furlong here, Mitch Harper here, Jake Hatch a little bit later on will join us as we will give you the rankings of our top 25 players in the state of Utah. It's all straight ahead from Kenny J's Barbecue. You come by here and you say, hey, Kenny, 2 things, brisket burn ends and 10% off. And you will be smiling all day long because he's going to give you the best burn ends you've ever had, and you're going to get 10% off. You can try the best barbecue in the state of Utah. Kenny J's Barbecue, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're looking for an opportunity to better yourself. We're into February, and if you made New Year's resolutions like, I want to get that promotion, I want to make myself more marketable, I want to just, outside of just trying to look at my headshot on LinkedIn, I want to do something that's actually going to better my career. Well, guess what? Go grab yourself that piece of paper that gives you that executive MBA program from Utah State University. They're going to work with you on so many different levels. First off, the education is second to none. You're going to learn the foundations of business, marketing, all these other skill sets that you're hoping to acquire, you're going to get in this executive MBA program. Then we're going to add on to that the fact that you can do this in 1 year or you can stretch it out over 5 years. You can also go to any satellite campus. I had some great listeners here. And they were, we talked to them before the show, Lloyd, and they live in Blanding, and they were talking about the fact that, hey, we got a McDonald's and we got a Subway that's in the Ace Hardware, and that's about it. But you know what they do have in Blanding? They have a satellite campus for Utah State University in Vernal, St. George, Tooele, all up and down the Wasatch Front. My wife got her master's in Kaysville. So you have no excuse. You'll find a branch, or you can do it completely online. And they'll waive the registration fee. You can also start whatever semester you want, whether it's spring, summer, or fall. It's the Executive MBA program designed for you and your excellence at Utah State University.
Do you feel behind in your retirement planning? Call Teton Wealth Group now, 435-255-6331, and our team will create for you your own complimentary Ascent plan that will show you how you can have a retirement full of purpose, prosperity, and joy. Just call Teton Wealth Group, 435-255-6331. If you're anxious about your finances in retirement, call Teton Wealth Group at 435-255-6331 for your own Ascent plan. That's 435-255-6331.
Dev Simplify are your software pros. Whether it's websites, mobile apps, or complex custom systems, Dev Simplify is here to make it work and make it easy on you. Need help building software or ongoing management? You've got both. DevSimplify.com designs, develops, and manages the process so your deadline stops slipping and your team stops guessing. Maybe you're stuck in the middle. AI can start a project. Freelancers can build pieces of it. But without real project management, teams get stranded halfway through. DevSimplify.com brings the roadmap, the pit crew, and the finish line. When a software project slows down, breaks down, or stalls out entirely, DevSimplify, the software pros, can turn that chaos into beautiful completion. DevSimplify.com. From the start, or in the middle, to finish and beyond. Ready to move? At DevSimplify.com, you can always schedule a quick and free project assessment. But right now, you can get a complimentary discovery session with 5 hours free. DevSimplify.com, your software pros.
DJ PK and John from J. Brooks Jewelers. John, whenever someone loses a parent or a grandparent, it's difficult. Things get passed down inside the family. But if someone doesn't want a watch or a piece of jewelry, what's the next best step?
At J. Brooks Jewelers, we're happy to help you sort through such a collection of things to help you know what is real and what has value.
Of course, repurposing the items for the family is always the best solution, but if no one loves or wants the piece, the estate experts at J. Brooks Jewelers can help guide you on the best way to handle the liquidation and, of course, in complete confidentiality. We have buyers all over the country that we've established to get the largest return possible for your jewelry, coins, or watches to retain as much money as possible for the family. So whether you want to repurpose and create a new heirloom or liquidate part or all of the estate, let me and my team help you decide the best way to proceed. Call and make an appointment today at J. Brooks Jewelers in Murray and Lehigh or online at jbrooksjewelers.com, your trusted custom and estate jeweler.
At Peach Windows and Doors, they help homeowners stay in the homes they love while upgrading to the elegance, efficiency, and natural light of today. With hundreds of 5-star Google reviews, their clients know Peach Windows and Doors deliver what they promise.
I wanted to replace standard-size French doors with a large custom sliding door. The update required checking a weight-bearing wall. Plus, I wanted a couple of different styles of windows. The new sliding door created a much brighter and open look. Peach was so helpful along the way with recommendations and ideas, and the installers were efficient and respectful of my space. I was thrilled with Peach Windows and Doors.
Give your $1 million home the $1 million feel it deserves. Don't wait on that someday project. Visit Peach Windows and Doors Salt Lake Showroom. Schedule a free in-home visit. You can also explore at peachwindowsanddoors.com or just call them at 801-566-1255. Peach Windows and Doors, where amazing home transformations begin.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This segment brought to you by U of U Health. For you, for life, go to uofuhealth.org. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are live here at Kenny J's Barbecue. What you may have missed, okay, I'm not quite sure what to think about this. And Lloyd, look, all I want to see is Team USA and Team Canada, but I also want to see a gold. And the fact that the old Canucks were down 2-0.
Don't do what you're going to do.
They were down 2-0.
Go up against the best.
Okay, all right. I'm with you. All right. That's all you got to say.
Go against the best. You know what? Part of me was like, I enjoy watching a team that I don't like lose. But if they're at the end of the day, you want to go on something like this. I want to go against the best.
All right.
If it's, by the way, if it's my Raiders, I don't care who it is. I just want them to annihilate them. So I don't care if it's the worst. I don't really care. Yeah. So it's a little bit wish-washy there, but the Raiders is something obviously that I'm very. It's probably my most passionate thing, and I don't really care. I just want a Super Bowl. I don't care if it's the best team. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But this, I want the best game. Give me a really good game, and yes, I do want to see a gold, obviously. But give me a really good game though. I want to see what I saw in the Four Nations. I want to see something like that. Obviously, you're not going to have the fights, but I want to see that type of anger between them and competitiveness.
All right. So you wanted Canada to come from behind, which they did, and ended up getting the victory and moving on. So you were cool with that.
Yes, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, part of me was torn like all of us. Like, it would be nice to have a gold, and if it means that you're unable to, that means you have to slide past somebody to get it, then and it's not Canada, but still, it'll be a little sweeter if you do it by beating Canada.
Just like what the women just did. Them coming from behind when they were up, they were down 1-0 with like 2 minutes left, to come from behind and then beat them in overtime. That's like a dagger that you get to dig into the Canadians for the next 40 years.
All right, we are live here at Kenny J's Barbecue, the district in South Jordan. Kenny's kind enough to give you 10% off, but more importantly, he was kind enough to let us try these burnt ends. And I keep thinking there's like you did something up your sleeve on these. And so I was texting you during the last segment, and when Bowler was talking, I'm like, am I getting a little hint of maple? And you're like, no. You make it a little bit, everybody thinks that there's these crazy recipes. In reality, it comes down to just good beef, good smoke, the right timing, and you're good to go.
Yeah, but there was one little secret.
Yeah.
We don't smoke it as long as you normally would what people do for burned ends. We smoke it for like 4 hours, but then we comb feed it in our
That's crazy.
In our beef tallow.
Beef tallow.
For 4 hours. So
I love it. And and you still get the smoke though.
Yep.
And people don't know this. If you are a barbecue aficionado, you know that there's a certain wood that people will use, and it's post oak. And if you can try to get something else, you can try other things, but you actually have that post oak shipped from Texas here to Utah, so you have that authentic feel.
Yeah. And it just kind of depends on where you're at in the country. Some hickory, some back east in Georgia, they're doing apple and pecan. They even do pecan back there. So anyway, but yeah, we do, since we're focused Central Texas flavor from a palate perspective, it's post oak that we use.
I mean, and the other thing too that I like, if somebody comes in here and says, "Hey, what's your setup look like?" I've seen you bring people back there. You can see the smoker for yourself, and you have really, I mean, this is good old school smoking here, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, I had there were 3 guys in here yesterday from Rio Tinto, and one of them's from Alabama, and he came up to me. He said, "Hey, can we go show my buddies your smokers?" I said, "Sure." And I walked out there and I didn't say a word. He said it all. He said, "This is how you do it." And he walked them through everything. He's like, "This is how we do it." Even down in Alabama, the whole offset smoking and stuff like that. So
he's going to try to get that white sauce.
He asked me if I could show him the smoker, and then he did.
Yeah, and then he did. Yeah, I love it.
Anyway.
But that's the kind of care, that's the kind of attention to detail you're going to get right here at Kenny J's Barbecue. And you're coming up on a year.
Yeah. We're going to have you guys out for our 1-year birthday party.
I love it.
Or whatever you call it.
And the thing is, you're also adapting too. Like you mentioned, like the ribs have always been good. When I first tried them, I'm like, these are the best ribs I've ever had. But you're like, no, they're way better now.
I think so. That's what I was saying is, like, in Texas where we're focusing, they've been doing it for decades, a century, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's barbecue joints down there that have been open since the early 1900s. And we're almost a year, so they've learned a trick or two over, the 100 years plus that they've been in business, and we're learning too, and just trying to be better.
I love it. Kenny J's Barbecue, 10% off if you mention the show. Stop by, say hi, and grab yourself the best barbecue in the state of Utah, bar none. Coming up next, we will kick off our re-rank show. Mitch Harper in the building. Josh Furlong in the building. Jake Hatch will join us a little bit later on. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether you're stuck in the office,
I believe you have my stapler,
in your car, or at your in-laws.
You want a piece of me? You bet I do.
The Zone is with you every step of the way. Download the KSL Sports app to get live streaming of your favorite shows and access to all the latest updates on your favorite teams. Your home for the best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Which cookie is best? Oh, add cream to your soda or not? Well, here's something we can all agree on. We care about Utah, and it's in danger because Great Salt Lake is drying up, crippling our economy and ecosystem. Even worse, toxic dust containing arsenic and mercury will blow from the exposed lakebed, threatening the health and safety of local communities. This isn't a future problem, it's already happening. You still have time to make a difference. Visit growgsl.org to learn how you can help save the lake.
Start the new year strong with a Hercules Gold Tier checking account. Earn up to 4.25% APY and make your money work harder for you. This account combines high rewards with everyday convenience so you can reach your goals faster. Open your Gold Tier checking account today and let's grow stronger together in 2026. Visit HerculesCU.com to learn more. Hercules First Federal Credit Union. Growing stronger together for 80 years. Ready for unbeatable deals?
At
at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown. Drive home a new Sentra starting at just $19,900. Need more space? Get up to $9,000 off new Pathfinders. Or grab a rugged Frontier for as low as $399 a month. With 99% approval, 0 down, and 90 days until your first payment. There's never been a better time to buy. Plus, every vehicle comes with the Tim Daly Forever Warranty. Only at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Deep, deep discounts. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
At University of Utah Health, we're mapping DNA to find the cause and the cure. Because 1 in a million is really just one. One person facing one incredibly difficult diagnosis. For one thing, hope. Learn more at uofuhealth.org.
It's coming, the 11th Annual Salt Lake Off-Road and Outdoor Expo, February 27th and 28th. 5 halls full of eye-popping side-by-sides, 4x4s, SEMA-Builds, trophy trucks, and display vehicles from mild to wild. Expo specials on parts, tools, gear, and cool accessories. $40,000 in prize drawings, February 27th and 28th at Mountain America Expo Center. Tickets, $14, kids under 12 free. Sponsored by R1 Industries and Sound Warehouse.
The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest.
97.5 KZNS FM Colville, 1280 KZNS AM Salt Lake City, and KSL FM HD2 Salt Lake City Midband. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, folks, it is our re-rank show as we will now count down the top 25 players in the state of Utah for the 2025 season. We've let everything kind of marinate a little bit for a couple months. And we spent some time going over everything, and now we've got our list of 25. Joining us now, Utah Insider, KSL.com, Josh Furlong, one of our favorite people on the planet. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. And then Mitch Harper, BYU Insider, KSLSports.com. How you doing?
Doing great, Scotty. We're here at Kenny J's. Cannot argue with that. The barbecue, so ready to roll, talk some football in February. I know we're in the thick of basketball, but to get a football fix, it's good to kind of revisit these top players from a memorable season in 2025.
So everybody submitted a poll, and then Lloyd averaged everything out. So here's the thing. In the old top 60, and I know both of you used to vote in that, the top 60 and 60, we would keep those ballots very close to the vest, and you guys can tell where you voted. I'm not going to make you do that, but it is we will be on the front lines. So myself, Josh, Mitch, Jake Hatch helped out on this as well. So just know that you know what, if you got somebody to yell at us. We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Mostly Jake Hatch, though. If you're
not
really angry, it's Jake Hatch.
Throw it a yuck.
Yeah,
right there.
Exactly.
Send it his way.
So, yeah, but yeah, no, We'll start right here at number. Oh, by the way, before we get going, everything is available for you on video. KSLSports.com. Watch the video. Nate's done a tremendous job, and you can see the video of all these as well. And if you miss it, it'll be posted up on KSLSports.com, so you can go back and revisit it. But coming in at number 25, let's go to Logan, inside linebacker John Miller, who I called every tackle of his this year. Ended up with, I believe, 118 tackles on the season. Tremendous player. And for those that get upset about the transfer portal and players getting poached from smaller schools to larger schools, there's also a little bit of it going the other way. John Miller started his career at Oregon State, really couldn't quite find the field early in Pac-12 play, and ended up playing his final year at Utah State and was just a tremendous force.
Great fit in Bronco Mendenhall's 3-4 scheme, too, and kind of reminded me a little bit, Scotty, of another former Oregon State linebacker in the past that Bronco coached at BYU, Awani Unga. Just a guy that racked up a ton of tackles, and, two, the fact that inside backer, he gets 8 sacks. Huge production from John Miller, and I think, again, it speaks to your point about the portal, about guys that sometimes slip through the cracks, but they become great fits. And he took his time, too. I mean, it was second year at Utah State. He didn't really break through. He was kind of just a guy in year one, but year two was a big force in first team All-Mount West.
And he's a guy that Bronco identified very quickly because, I'll be honest, Bronco turned over that roster. There were a lot of people that left on their own, and then there were a lot of players that were advised to leave. But John Miller was one that he spotted very quickly and said, no, we can build this defense around him. The other player that they really built their defense around comes in at number 24, Noah Avenger. And I'm a huge fan of this guy because you get, when you do the play-by-play, or like you guys, when you're covering the team and you're in locker rooms and press conferences, you kind of see who the emotional backbone of a team is. The guys that are the leaders, not just on the field, but off the field. Noah was a New Mexico guy, came with Bronco, and everybody's kind of shell-shocked by what Bronco Mendenhall and that staff is making these guys go through. And Noah was the guy saying, hey, look, you know what? There's light at the end of the tunnel. We won at New Mexico with this guy. Imagine what we can do here. And tremendous safety. But here's, Ike Larson spent the first 6 games of the year suspended, and Utah State was just getting burnt on the corner. And so when Ike came back, they put him at safety and then moved Noah back out to corner. So he played both positions really well. And to me, I know John was your leading tackler, but I think the star of the defense last year was Noah.
Well, I think both of these players, though, they bought into the system, right? And I think that's what's tough with Utah State, where they've had a little bit of a turnover in a lot of their roster. The fact that you could get players like that to consistently produce and do it at a high level under Bronco Mendenhall's first year there shows what it is. Obviously, Noah had experience with Bronco, so there was experience there. But I think you saw a very consistent force with Utah State, where maybe they didn't get to the highest highs that they thought they could get to, but they definitely weren't at the lows. They were in competition for, a Mountain West title down to the late in the season, and 2 of these guys are key contributors to that defense. So I think it speaks to what they've built up there, and these 2 guys are perfect examples of how that has kind of been built up at Utah State.
Well, I think also it's a reminder, too, of that Bronco, still coaches defense at a very high level as Utah State gets ready to transition into the Pac-12, where the level of competition is going to go up, where I would look at the Pac-12 as going to be the league that always produces the highest group of 6 team into the college football playoff. You know that Bronco's going to field some excellent defenses and identify players that maybe don't get the 4-star, 5-star portal ranking, but they're going to be great fits into his scheme, and he can get the most out of their talents. I think that's kind of what speaks to it in year one, to get those early returns from a Miller and Avenger. That speaks what the direction this program is going to be defensively.
And you're going to get the guys that feel like they've got a chip on their shoulder, whether they were at a P4 program and had to go down to Utah State. They're going to be angry about that, or guys that were overlooked in high school recruiting that are going to come in. They're going to have that chip on their shoulder. And those are Bronco dudes. I mean, Mitch, you're around Bronco enough to know that he feeds off that emotion, because Bronco himself has a massive chip on his shoulder.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, Bronco, he's not for everyone, but for the guys that buy into his system and his culture, I mean, he and Bronco will be completely fully invested into those players if you buy in to his scheme. And I just think that it was a great starting point for the program, getting to a bowl, and these two players on the defensive side really highlighted that defense for Utah State.
All right, let's move on. Number 23, as we rank the top 25 players in the state of Utah from the 2025 college football season. Josh, let's start with the first Ute off the board, J.J. Buchanan.
Yeah, J.J. was one of those guys that came in. There was a lot of optimism about who he could be. Was he a tight end? Was he a wide receiver? And it really didn't matter for what Utah had him do. But he became this efficient playmaker down the stretch, right? At the beginning, he was still trying to figure out who he was, trying to get into the system as a collegiate player. But near the end, he became this great asset for Devin Dampier to throw to. Made some highlight catches in the bowl game that really kind of turned the table on who he was as a player. Finishes with 427 yards, just really kind of touching on his potential, right? And Michigan's obviously going to get a good player in what J.J. Buchanan can be, but I think we don't really know fully who he could be as an asset because he was just scratching the surface near the end of the season, coming into his own, but clearly a guy that has a knack for being able to get to the ball, being able to make tough plays, sideline catches, whatever it may be, and was a great asset for Utah. Just, they didn't get to see him enough.
How much, with the recent run of tight end success at Utah, you got to give Freddie Whittingham some success, or some props on all of this.
Oh, yeah. Whether Freddie was responsible for, the actual coaching up of that or not, the fact that they can evaluate talent and be able to find guys that can come in and do it speaks to what they were able to do with Freddie Whittingham, with Kyle, the coaching, the recruiting staff. They were able to find tight ends pretty consistently, and JJ was one of those guys that they identified early. There was a big fight to get him in the recruiting, front, and he lived up to that expectation. I think if you can get 500 yards out of a freshman, I think that's a pretty successful season.
So, at what point did you feel like in camp, like this guy was going to be special, or did it bleed into the season where you're like, okay, this guy's going to be a problem for defenses?
I think there was definitely a lot of talk coming into fall camp about who he could be. It was more just, can he live up to that, right? Yeah. And I think there was also part of that building the connection with Devin, trying to make sure that they could get on the same page, see where he fits in. And so I think that's kind of, you started to see it develop as the season went. There was no question that he was a guy that they could rely on. They just didn't know what they were going to have in that room. You didn't know if some other players were going to step up. And so when those other players didn't, JJ became a viable option and lived for it, right? Like when they threw him the ball, he actually made plays. He did a lot for them, and it was a great opportunity for him to be able to grow as a player.
All right, let's move on. Number 22. So our top three, John Miller, Noah Avenger, both from Utah State. Number 23, J.J. Buchanan. Let's stay on the hill. Jackson Benny coming in at number 22. Josh, tremendous player as well.
Yeah, Jackson's one of those guys that he comes in as a walk-on. Nobody really expects him to do much. You heard little inklings about him kind of stepping up and being this guy that could be a solid playmaker. But we hadn't seen it. We saw it in spring, and we saw what he was able to do there. But spring's watered down. You don't know what you're going to get. And he's a guy that ran with it. They put him in positions on the defensive side of the ball where he was great in coverage. On the offensive side of the ball, he also became a playmaker that way. If you didn't have a illegal man downfield penalty against Texas Tech, he's gone for, a 70-yard touchdown. There's a lot to love about Jackson and who he can be, and I think we're still kind of just scratching the surface with him. I think he's going to be relied on heavily as a safety this year. He's played nickel, he's played corner. Safety is kind of where they see him. But I think with what he did, he came up clutch. I can't remember the game it was, but he came up clutch where he had a pass breakup that absolutely would have killed Utah if he didn't get it. They would have scored a touchdown, this opposing team, and I can't remember what it was. But he found ways to make plays wherever he was on the field. So, really solid player. The fact that he could do it as a walk-on and kind of earn his stripes kind of speaks to the level of the talent that he is.
Do you think the flirting on the offensive side continues with Kevin McGiven, or do you think those days are behind us?
I think you try it, right? I think you test it out in spring, see if it's something that you can utilize. But I don't know that Utah necessarily needs him to be that this year. They've got a little bit more talent in wideout, so he can be that guy, and I think, quite honestly, part of the reason they took Smith-Snowden out of it a little bit more was because Jackson was emerging. So, if it works and that's somebody that they feel like they can utilize, yeah, keep going with it. But I don't know that they need to really rely on him the way that they did last year.
All right, let's move on. Number 21 in the top 25 re-rank as we take a look at the best players in the state of Utah playing college football last year. Our first Cougar on the board, Bruce Mitchell. Mitch, as Bruce goes 21.
Yeah, Bruce Mitchell, first team All Big 12 selection in his first year as the full-time starter at center. And, you know, Mitchell, we saw him inserted into the lineup when Connor Pay went down in 2024, and he played in some big games, you know, up on the Hill against Utah, and he looked like he was going to be the next big thing at center, and he's lived up to that. Now, in fall camp, it was interesting. You know, him and Bear Bachmeier, obviously that was a new relationship that was being formed on the heels of Jake Retzloff's exit. You know, there was early struggles in camp where Bruce was having some issues with snaps. And even early in the season, he allowed a sack against Stanford. And you thought, man, is Bruce just not living up to the high expectations? But I really think he rounded into form in Big 12 play. I mean, I thought his best game was against Utah in Provo, and BYU's offensive front led by Bruce Mitchell. I think that was a big piece to BYU's success in that rivalry game to get that third consecutive win. But, you know, Bruce Mitchell, it's interesting, too. He's going to go into 2026 running it back as the starting center. I mean, he's the elder statesman at BYU now. He signed back in 2019, was just a developmental guy that Elisa Tuiaki back in the day identified as kind of just a project, and he's really turned into a special football player. And again, I think it's still to BYU's core. They're always going to have, you know, development as a piece to the program, where you're going to find these hidden gem players locally, and then they become all-conference caliber players. Now, it's got to level up with the, you know, freshman talent that they can step in right away, but Bruce Mitchell kind of embodies that development culture that BYU's had under Kalani Sitake.
So I'll admit I'm a little biased because I worked with him a little bit at Utah State, got to know him and his family, but as soon as Kalani Sitake announced TJ Woods as the O-line coach, I'm like, okay, he's going to fix it. Because one thing about offensive line prior to TJ, they weren't aggressive. They didn't play violently, and you're like, where's that edge? And when TJ got the job, I told everybody, I'm like, okay, that edge is coming, because TJ, there are certain guys that walk into a room and you know what position they coach. And TJ Woods walks in, you're like, that's an offensive line coach.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because I think a lot of Cougar fans, for whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe it's just because, again, the logo he was coming from at the time, which was Georgia Southern, people thought, is this the hire? Like, I thought you're in the Big 12. You got to level up. But it was just a perfect fit and alignment with the rest of the coaching staff, with Aaron Roderick. And you're right, TJ Woods has really reinvented BYU's offensive line. And since he arrived, you know, BYU has won 23 football games, and the key piece to that has been the offensive line, led now by Bruce Mitchell, who's been a key piece these past 2 years.
All right, let's move on. Number 20. Back on the hill we go. Ryan Davis checking in at number 20. Josh?
Yeah, Ryan Davis is an interesting player because coming into the season, there was a lot of doubt on who he could be. You know, he's from New Mexico, and maybe there's a pejorative there, but nobody expected him to kind of be the guy. The reality is they didn't really understand the connection that he had with Devin Dampier and kind of what he was able to do. And he came up clutch for Utah in so many situations because Utah, quite honestly, just didn't have a major passing attack. And so when Davis became this guy that could just really do anything, I don't think he really dropped many passes at all. He was a guy that could be this reliable force where Devin was comfortable with him. He had a good consistency with him at New Mexico. And it just kind of snowballed in his time with Utah. You know, I think Utah fans by the end really wish that he was around for another season because of how successful he was. He was never your deep threat guy, right? Like, he was never a guy that you're going to go throw it 20 yards downfield. He was more of the intermediate short range, but he was so effective with it because he found open space, he got open, and then he made defenders pay because of it. And so, you know, he is a lot of credit for what Utah had in the passing a game, which was pretty minimal, quite honestly. But you know, you can't look at anybody but Ryan Davis as kind of the hero in that room of what they needed that year.
I think you bring up a really good point about his relationship with Devin Dampier. There was a safety blanket there as Devin was trying to figure things out, and he knew, like, okay, I've got number 9 there. Like, I'm going to be okay because I know what he does, and I can force feed him a little bit while I build up chemistry. And I think Devin Dampier, obviously a tremendous player, but Ryan Davis, I think, made that transition a lot easier for him.
Well, I think people forget, like, when you have somebody that you're comfortable with, it makes it so much easier as a quarterback. You've got to snap that ball in 3 seconds and get it off. And if you have somebody that you know where they can be and you know everything about them from the time that they were in practice squad together, it makes things so much easier. And so I think a lot of people downplayed that, and I think Ryan really took advantage of it, and Devin obviously had that security blanket. So,
all right, one more before we go to break, and this is number 19, and Smith Snowden. And we've already got tweets coming in from people like, hey, if they're at Michigan, they're disqualified. Hey, we're just ranking the top 25 from last year. Smith Snowden. Josh, would you have had him a little higher?
No, I mean, somewhere around there. I don't have my list right here with me, but I don't feel like Smith lived up to the expectations that he had the year prior. I think going into this season in the transfer portal, there was a lot of talk of him leaving, and that felt like a detrimental thing because he was just so good in coverage. He was one of their best assets there, and to lose him would just be another blow after a 5-7 season. Now this year, I don't know if it's a mixture of what Utah did to him in the sense that they had him at corner, they had him at nickel, then they had him on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know if it was just trying to do too much. And so he didn't really live up to the expectations that I think many had for him. Now that's not to say that he wasn't a solid player. He was absolutely effective for Utah in their defensive game. He didn't let much get past him. He had a high, I think it's the PFF grade where you say the NFL, like it wasn't that high for a lot of these teams that targeted him. So he was a valuable asset. I just think there was more that needed to be from him, and I think that was kind of where people were left, is saying, Smith could have done more. He just this year wasn't as good as maybe the year before.
I'm curious, Josh, do you think Benny should have been above Smith Snowden? Because when you look at kind of the impact, I mean, Benny sometimes maybe had the bigger maybe impact at times, and you thought almost like they're going to not skip a beat with him moving forward.
Well, I think you're right, honestly, and I think Jackson, with what he did on defense and offense, he deserved that, right? He was more of a prototypical size. He was great in coverage. He actually had better grades in PFF. He was better in coverage. Everything that he did just kind of eliminated some of what Smith was. And so I don't know that it was Smith necessarily being worse. It was more just Jackson stepping up. So I would have to agree with that Jackson probably should have been higher. But I don't know that it's that much of a difference, right? I think Jackson's going to be relied upon a ton this year. And then Smith's going to have to find his way at Michigan.
Smith is one of those names that I think almost every fan base in this state just has an opinion of. Cougar fans wanted him every day.
Yes, exactly.
It was always, is BYU going to get Smith Snowden? Now he goes off to Michigan. But I'm curious to see how he does there because I'm kind of with you. I still put him above Benny on my ranking. He was second team all Big 12, but the defensive back of the year from the Utah coaches in the Big 12 awards was Jackson Benny.
Yep.
But, I think that Smith Snowden's got, that first round NFL draft potential. That's what makes him so intriguing to me, is like he's a future NFL guy, but I think Benny could be that eventually too.
Oh, there's no doubt. Our first 7 selections: John Miller at 25, Noah Abinger at 24, J.J. Buchanan at 23, Jackson Benny at 22, Bruce Mitchell at 21, Ryan Davis 20, and Smith Snowden at 19. We'll announce your next 5 selections coming up in our next segment. We are live here at Kenny J's Barbecue, and if you have not tried their burn ends, you get them today, you get them tomorrow. They're very limited, but my goodness, Kenny, you knocked this thing out of the park. And a little bit of trial and error there. I mean, this has been a labor of love getting those locked in.
Yeah, it was. They weren't the best when we first started. It was like it was just inconsistent, right?
Yeah.
So like one day they were good, and the next it was like, what did I do wrong? And then I'm like, anyway. So we locked it in. We locked it in after a few weeks.
How did? Is this fun for you still? I mean, to just kind of tweak things and try to figure out where things are at and how to make things better?
Yeah. And it's the people, really.
Yeah.
It's like I love smoking the meat, but I'm not like out talking all the time to people. That's what Mary does.
Yeah.
And but I like, they come up to me and talk to me and say, so I love seeing people happy.
And that feedback is stuff that you want. I mean, you want to get that consistent feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us what you like. Tell us what you didn't like. I don't get offended, but I try and fix it.
Yeah.
Like I'm already going to be redoing a sausage. We're looking at another sausage recipe, and just upping our game there.
I love it, man. Kenny J's Barbecue, such great barbecue. 10% off if you mention the Zone today, and they will kick you some savings, and you will have the best barbecue in the state of Utah. And frankly, it's not even close. Do you do your own sauces too?
Yeah, everything. The only thing we don't do here is the cornbread. And I only have cornbread because people say they want it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm not gonna make cornbread and have gluten flying all over the kitchen, because I tell people all the time that unless it's actually macaroni and cheese or funeral potatoes, it's gluten free.
Funeral potatoes. How much fun has that been?
Good.
Yeah.
A lot.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get me some before it's all said and done.
On there, yeah.
All right, we're live here at Kenny J's Barbecue. Stop by in the district in South Jordan, right next to the old theater. Let's go. It's all right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
There's the know it when you see it aspect of it. Fine. If you want to say, I can tell the Jazz are tanking because they're not playing their guys in the fourth quarters, regardless of the outcome, they're trying to do something differently. Fine. But are you saying you didn't watch the Sacramento Kings in their final game before the All-Star break and that wasn't a team trying to lose?
They don't care about policy. They don't care about even application of that. It would be impossible. By the way, the Jazz / many other teams compromised their integrity years ago, decades ago for some teams. Did you not see what the Spurs did in the 90s to get Tim Duncan? I remember when they were tanking to get John Morant. Marc Gasol actually talked about it after the game. He was upset. He didn't play the entire second half.
Of a game against the Jazz.
A game against the
Where he
Jazz
had like 20
here
in the first half.
Salt Lake. Sat the entire second half. So did you not see it then?
Exactly right.
So are you an idiot or are you corrupt?
Catch Jake and Ben weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Arrive in style for all of life's events, from the first suit to the first dance, from preparing to serve to standing side by side, starting a life together. At every age, at every milestone, Mr. Mac helps you feel confident and prepared by showing up looking your best no matter where life takes you. Locally owned and operated for nearly 60 years. Mr. Mac, helping you look your best for all of life's events.
Are you looking to upgrade your home this year? Advanced Window Products is your local window and door manufacturer that sells direct to the public.
That's right, celebrating 40 years serving Utah since 1986. And right now, it's the New Year, New Window Sale. Get $2,500 off when you buy 10 windows or more.
Our windows are made right here in Salt Lake City. Sales and installation are all in-house, meaning no middleman markups. You get the most affordable, high-quality custom windows in the state.
We build it, we install it, and we guarantee it for life.
Every window comes with a lifetime warranty, labor, glass, and parts included, serviced by our local team, and the warranty is transferable to the next homeowner.
Financing is available too. Save now, pay later, with payments as low as $150 a month.
Buy local and support the local economy. Don't wait. Buy 10 windows or more and get $2,500 off. Beat the rush and call today.
Call us at 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit us at advancedwindows.com.
Tuesday tacos, Sunday roast, backyard burgers. Whatever is on your table, make it Bar W Beef. Trust matters. Knowing where the beef was raised, what it was fed, and where it was processed isn't a mystery at Bar W Beef. Dry-aged 14 days, steaks, brisket, ground beef bundles, premium cuts without premium markup, shipped straight to your door. This is Utah beef. If you can't shake the hand of the rancher behind your beef, maybe it's time to try BarWBeef.com or visit the store in Nephi.
DJ PK and John from J. Brooks Jewelers. John, you refer to yourself as a full-service jeweler. What does that mean?
Once upon a time, before national stores and online sites flooded the market, your local family jeweler was the expert in your life that handled all your jewelry and watch needs. J. Brooks is that full-service jeweler today, where everything is handled by us, including appraisals, jewelry repair, watch repairs, as well as general service of all Swiss brands, and the most beautiful custom creations, including our new JBJ Bridal Collection. We can take your existing jewelry and freshen it up, or we can repurpose it completely with a fresh design, but using all of the sentimental parts that you already own. And of course, if she's ready for the upgrade you always promised, we can help you with a selection of a new larger diamond to say I love you more than ever. So whatever your celebration is, let J. Brooks help you any way you may need. J. Brooks Jewelers, Murray and Lehigh, and online at jbrooksjewelers.com, where women know what women want.
The KSL Sports Zone is your home for live local sports. Tonight, the Utah Jazz are in Memphis to play the Grizzlies at 5 o'clock. Listen on 97.5 The Zone. Tomorrow, Real Salt Lake's season opener at Vancouver starts at 5:30 on 97.5 The Zone. Utah State's at Nevada. Listen to Scott Garrard from Reno at 8 o'clock on 1280 The Zone. And Iowa State's at BYU for a Big 12 game at 8:30. Listen on 102.7 FM. If you want to hear your company's name here, email Stephanie Palmer at spalmer@ksl.com and join the winning team at the KSL Sports Zone.
The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at kslsports.com/contest.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome on back. You're listening to the top 25 players in the state of Utah college football re-rank right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Garrard alongside Ute Insider Josh Furlong, Cougar Insider Mitch Harper. So come on down to Kenny J's. We'll give you 10% off. By the way, this segment brought to you by U of U Health. For you, for life, go to uofuhealth.org. All right, we are now at number 18, and let's go back to Utah. Dallin Bentley, Josh coming in at number 18.
Yeah, I think Dallin Bentley turned into quite a great piece for Utah. He was that asset for Utah the year before. They just didn't have any quarterbacks that could throw it to him. I can't tell you how many times that I saw in film where he's like open in the flats and nobody sees him. And so I think the fact that he could have a quarterback that could see him and utilize him really showcases the talent he could be. The unfortunate part is after years of injuries, he only got 1 year of it.
Yeah.
And so I think, we only scratched the surface of who he could be, but he was another one of those prototypical Utes on the tight end room, in the tight end room that really just found production. He finished with 620 yards. He came up big in several situations for Utah. I can think of several where, they needed 20 yards to get out of a 3rd and long, and he got it for him. He was just we talked about Ryan Davis being the security blanket. He developed that, Devin Dampier developed that a ton with Dallin Bentley because he was just open, he was a big body, and he had a knack for being able to get to the ball. So, kudos to him. It's just unfortunate that you only got him for 1 year, really.
We used to joke about how Utah was where tight ends went to die because, you had, the Murphy kid and there were a lot of really good players but were never utilized. And now all of a sudden Utah becomes this tight end hotbed. Do you feel are you concerned that they'll be able to maintain that with the change of the coaching staff?
I think it'll change. I think, if they're talented pass catchers, I think they'll still be utilized, but I don't know that it's going to be the same that you had with Andy Ludwig or with Jason Beck. I think there's going to be a little bit more trying to get to the outsides, but they'd be crazy not to utilize the tight end. I mean, the NFL is heavily turning into an NFL or a tight end game. You'd be crazy not to include that still in the collegiate level. So you would know more with McGiven with his time at Utah State and how to utilize his tight ends. Granted, do they have the tight ends that Utah has? I don't know. So I'm fascinated to kind of see how they work them in. I know it's been less of a priority for them this year, but that's not to say that it can't be a priority if they have the right guys in the room.
Well, let's talk about one tight end that got away from Utah, Carson Ryan, checking in at number 17, Mitch, and his impact, not just as a pass catcher, but also as a blocker, was really key for BYU last year.
It's kind of like a run in fantasy football when you go on the tight end run. That's what it is here in our 60 and 60. Carson Ryan, 620 receiving yards. He had, 400 through his time at UCLA and Utah. And I remember, last December when BYU got a commitment from Carson Ryan out of the portal, Aaron Roderick. He was just moments before he spoke to the media. He's like, we've already addressed our tight end position for 2025, and he was very confident about that. They knew that Carson Ryan would be a plug-and-play guy, even though the stats suggested that there wasn't much from the receiving game from that, but Carson Ryan fit in nicely, and BYU made the tight end position a big focus. Now, Ryan wasn't a big play guy. I mean, he had one catch against TCU that was, more than 40 yards, but he was just consistent. And then he had his best game in the Pop-Tarts Bowl where he went over 100 yards, but solid, consistent contributor. I thought it was interesting, too, in my conversations before his career wrapped up at BYU. He said that he just wished coming out of high school that he picked BYU to begin with, that he really regrets that he didn't spend his entire time at BYU because it just was a good fit for him. He kind of got, wine and dine the bright lights of UCLA, but that wasn't a fit. I think that's something that, I think a lot of players should always look at is just the fit is better than maybe the glitz, the glamour of the brand and the flashiness or the money. The fit was really good for Carson Ryan, and maybe he'll get a chance at the NFL. We'll see. He's not at the combine, but maybe he can be an undrafted free agent and have a chance to maybe stick. But I thought it was a really impressive season, and he really revived the tight end position for BYU because the first years of the Big 12, the first two, it was non-existent. That position was, when you saw a tight end lineup at BYU, it was just going to be a blocking, an extra blocker. That was it, whereas Ryan became a real threat in the receiving game for BYU.
So was it, and I know the answer to this is a combination of both, was it a commitment by the offensive coaching staff to make that more of a point of emphasis, or was it that Carson Ryan was just such a good fit that he emerged as the guy?
He emerged as the guy early. I mean, last spring, it was clear as day he's going to be one of the top targets, and Bear Bachmeier even said when he arrived in the summer, like, he is my safety blanket is how he put it. But also Aaron Roderick, he wanted to make it a clear point and focus in the offense because I think that's one of the unique things about Kalani's program, and with Roderick, they kind of know the history of BYU offenses, and the tight end position is so kind of entrenched with the offensive side of the ball at BYU after quarterback. I'd say the most decorated position after QB on the offensive side is tight end in BYU's history. So for them to go multiple years where it's really a non-factor, they wanted to get that right. And I think he kind of gave a blueprint to a Walker Lyons now at USC who comes in and says, you can be that and then some and maybe take it to a higher level. So I think it was an important year that BYU got that level of production from Carson Ryan.
So we got our, this will be our 10th guy off the board, coming in at number 16. Let's stay with BYU, Mitch. Evan Johnson.
Yeah, Evan Johnson, Shmev as they call him. You just got Shmev'd. He's emerged as a big-time cornerback for BYU. 5 interceptions, and this was a guy that BYU retained going into 2026. I really thought that there was a real argument that he could follow Gennaro Guilford and Jay Hill to Michigan because Gennaro Guilford found him as just a speedster, a guy that was really more of a track and field guy coming out of high school out of Monterey, California, 10'4", 100-meter guy, elite speed, but was kind of learning the game of football the past few years. And really, it wasn't until this past season where he really took off. The first 3 years, he was just development project, trying to teach him the game of football, but he really took off. And BYU needed him because they lost Jacob Robinson, who became one of the best cornerbacks in the Kalani Sitake era. I think Evan Johnson took it to a higher level, and I think that Johnson has a bright future ahead of him. He was impactful, too. He had a pick-6 against East Carolina. He had the game-clinching interception against Georgia Tech in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Johnson's really good, and that was a big run-it-back announcement that BYU got from Evan Johnson because without him, that would have been a big hole to fill for BYU, but they get him back, and he was spectacular, better than I think anyone would have expected this year.
We talked about with Josh Fred Whittingham and his presence leaving the program. Gennaro Guilford leaving BYU. That'll be interesting to see how they're able to, because that's a big loss to that coaching
No
staff.
question, and he's a guy that in many respects he had all these connections in Southern California. When you need to go get a guy, Gennaro could just almost speed dial anyone in Southern California. Now that's gone. Now they bring in DeMario Warren, who's got a lot of connections, and he mentored Gennaro Guilford in stretches of their coaching careers that have intersected down in Southern Utah. But the cornerback, historically at BYU used to always be like, okay, that is a glaring issue. That position's like BYU's never going to have good cornerbacks. They've kind of had more of the just speed guys in the past with great measurables, great size, and they've tried to develop them, and then they hit. And, Evan Johnson is one of those guys that hit, and that's a testament to the development of Gennaro Guilford. So losing him is a big deal. I think that is something that will be very interesting to see how that takes place going forward. They do bring in Lewis Walker, who's going to be the cornerbacks coach now. He was once a defensive coordinator at Moorhead, and now from North Dakota State. So BYU, they feel good about their cornerback position. The kind of like a little bit of a body of work of success where there's actually producing NFL players too. I think that's promising for BYU, and Evan Johnson might be the next one.
Well, we talk about a nice surprise that BYU is able to hold on to Evan Johnson. a lot of people shocked when our 15th best player in the state of Utah decided to come back for another year. Bird Ficklin, University of Utah. Bird and Devin back again for the University of Utah. But, Josh, this young man, the sky's the limit on what he can do.
Yeah, this is one of those players where when you see him get on the field, he just has it.
Yeah.
Right? I think we've all been around those types of players where it's just easy to kind of identify that they have talent. The beauty with Bird is that he was put in different roles that didn't make him adversarial to Devin Dampier, right? And so the two of them could work really well together and not feel like one is going to take over the other. Now, Bird is definitely capable and more than, he has the ability to be able to go somewhere else and be the guy, but they've found a great connection where Devin can still be your starting quarterback, but Bird can still get his own. You saw that in several early games for Utah where they were just blowing teams out. He could come in there, be the fourth quarter quarterback, and really, every single time that he got into the game, he threw a touchdown. So there was something about him that people were really optimistic about. And then midway through the season, suddenly he just emerges as this rushing giant where he's just escaping. I think it was Baylor where he just decided to destroy them on his own and became this great asset for Utah. And so they started utilizing him more in being able to help in what Devin did. They put both quarterbacks on the field at the same time, which you can argue whether that's valid or not. But there was an opportunity where these two could be great assets together, and Bird definitely lived up to it. So I think it's a great asset for Utah to be able to have him back.
You asked, we're not quite sure how Kevin McGivern's going to work tight ends in. One thing I do know is Kevin McGivern's going to have a ball.
Oh, yeah.
Because he loves, pre-snap motions. He loves finding mismatches. He loves, putting guys in positions that you're not expecting. One thing I think obviously there's a financial aspect to this, but I think Bird Ficklin spent a little bit of time with Kevin McGivern. He's like, hey, this is a guy I want to hitch my wagon to because he can do some things.
And Bird has a strong arm. It's way better than Devin. Devin is a great intermediate guy, right? You can get him anything there. He can still make the deep passes, but if you get Bird in there and he can make those deep throws, maybe you can find a way to utilize both players in there where if the deep shot is available, Bird can take the shot. If the intermediate's there, Devin's the guy. I don't know how you utilize that and what Kevin McGivern will do, but I think you've got so much versatility, whether it be in the passing game or the running game with these two quarterbacks. And Bird 100% deserves all the credit because he's been able to live it up. The lights aren't too bright for him, but at the same time, he's this humble kid who just really wants to go about doing his work and having fun doing it.
All right, one more selection before we go to break. And again, another Utah member of that offense, Wayshawn Parker. Josh coming in at number 14.
We're just going to continue with all these Utah players.
I know, right? Yeah.
Wayshawn Parker, this was a guy that there was so much excitement about coming into the program, as an up-and-coming young player from Washington State who really kind of fit the mold of what Utah wanted in a running back. And, he had goals of getting to 1,000 yards. 1,500 yards was his bigger goal, and just barely misses it with 981 yards. But he's a guy that really kind of picked up at the end of the season. Kyle Whittingham had a bet with him where if he could rush for 100 yards each game, he could wear some pink sneakers that would help his niece identify him on the field. And it really motivated him to a point where he really wanted to just get 100 yards every single game. Not that he needed that motivation, but I think it was just kind of a little telltale that helped him to kind of focus on some things as a younger player. And he really took off at the end of the season. I think early on, he had a fumble in that Texas Tech game that really kind of hampered him. And Kyle, anybody that's been around Kyle forever knows that if you fumble or if you turn over the ball, you're going to be on his bad list for a minute. That kind of, I think, set him back a bit. He was splitting carries with Nakari Rogers. And so it took him a minute to emerge at Utah, but once he did, you can see the potential there. And I think the fact that he can come back this year as the guy means a lot for Utah and for him personally. I
think one of the reasons why Utah made a move at offensive coordinator, I haven't gone through all of Kyle's career, but outside of COVID, the 2024 season, they ran for just 1,500 yards on the season, which is so un-Utah-like. And, of course, last year, new offensive coordinator, you retool the roster a little bit, and they're at 3,400 yards rushing, back to where they usually are. More often than not, they're well over 3,000 yards rushing as a team.
Well, and they'll still do that. I mean, Kevin McGivern, as you know, is very heavy on the pass, but that's not to mean that he just completely lets it go, right?
Not at all.
And I think when you have an asset like Wayshawn Parker and some of the other guys that they're bringing in, now you have a full complement of players where you, in theory, have a better receiving room. Now you can actually have a good running attack. Not that they didn't have a good running attack, but it doesn't have to be the sole focus of what this Utah team can be. So I think Wayshawn, in some respects, can even get more yards because of that, because the focus isn't going to be solely on him all the time because there's so many more assets around him.
All right, that is Josh Furlong. Mitch Harper covering BYU. Josh does a tremendous job at KSL.com. Of course, you got some great insight from Mitch Harper. You followed him for years. He's at KSLSports.com. We are live here at Kenny J's Barbecue. Come by, get 10% off your barbecue. Do yourself a favor and try these brisket burn ends, as good as anything you'll ever try. We'll talk to our guy Kenny coming up in our next segment, but this is your top 25 players in the state of Utah, the Re-Rank Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is JJ and Alex.
I got this. I just thought it was funny because they came out with NBA front office rankings, the highest kudos. It's not just about winning right now. It's that they built something 5 years ago, and they're being rewarded for it now. And to get there 4 or 5 years ago started with, guess what? What we're seeing right now with all these smaller teams. The Jazz are they're brand new at this. You know what I mean? Like
they don't have the tanking history that all these other top 10 teams, the teams with the top 10 front offices in the league, have all tanked.
These general managers are asked to put together rosters. How do you do it? Within the reason and within the rules that they have been given. And so in the same breath that you're congratulating these front offices for building, you're also fining them for following the rules that you put out there, Adam Silver, in the league. And this is what we've been living. The reality that these guys have. They are dang smart. They would be extremely dumb if they didn't try to do the same exact thing that everybody else was doing.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You know, you think about your lending institution doing you a favor. Well, America First Credit Union is doing that. A financial institution that wants to find ways for you to get out from underneath the load of debt that you might have incurred during the holiday season. So what do? Well, you go to America First Credit Union. Whether you're a member or not a member, this is going to be available to you. You get that Visa no interest for 6 months credit card. Then you can take all your balances, move it over to that card. There's no fee whatsoever to do that. And you can have 6 months no interest to pay those balances down. It's just another line of events that America First Credit Union does to make sure that you're in a great position financially. They want to be your partner, not just as a financial institution, but also as an organization that's going to help you get ahead in life. Go to AFCU or AmericaFirst.com. That's AmericaFirst.com. Find out what they can do for you. AmericaFirst.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Deep, deep discounts. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit HotTubAndSwimSpaSale.com.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Attention, Jazz Nation. We know you've been waiting on the edge of your seat, and the time has finally arrived. All tickets are available now. Let's go! Your favorite players will be back on the court, bringing the energy all season long. Whether you're looking for season tickets, mini plans, or single-game matchups, there's a perfect option for every kind of fan. Show up loud and proud at Delta Center this season. Don't miss your chance to be part of the action. Buy your tickets today at utahjazz.com. Listen every Monday morning to DJ and PK and Monday afternoon with JJ and Alex for your Chevy Strong Play of the Game. Win great prizes from Rocky Mountain Chevy.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, it's your top 25 re-rank. Scott Garrard, Josh Furlong, and Mitch Harper. Nobody covers the Utes and Cougars better than these guys, and appreciate both of them coming down here. Now, we did bribe them a little bit with burn ends, and I got
it worked.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. The bribery was fantastic.
By the way,
Great
if you're watching on video, those are your burn ends right there. That is worth that is candy right there.
Literally.
You cannot beat that. All right, let's move on. We got our short segment here, so we got 2 players. Let's start with one of my favorite players over the last couple of years, Isaiah Glasker from BYU. Mitch coming in at 13.
He's an absolute stud, but I'm not gonna lie, Scotty. I think this is a little bit high for Glasker this year. My personal rankings, I actually had him at 21. It's because I think Glasker took a little bit of a step back. There was such a high bar for what he did his sophomore season, where he was the leader in tackles for loss in the Big 12. This year, though, he dealt with injuries. He rolled the ankle against Colorado, injured his finger against Cincinnati. Still, I think that's a reason why he's coming back in 2026, because had he replicated his production in 24, he's probably off to the NFL and probably a day 2 guy. So, benefits BYU that maybe there was a little bit of a dip. And, BYU had to invest in him to retain him and get him back for the 2026 season. But when he is healthy, his impact is outstanding. And I always think back to, there were so many fall camps where he was showing all these signs of becoming an elite player. And I remember there were some former players that even told me, this guy's going to be the next Kyle Van Noy. And I thought, man, he's good, but let's pump the brakes here a little bit. But Glasker, when he's healthy and he's at his best, he's one of the best linebackers in the Big 12. And that's going to be the expectation for him next year. This past season, only 36 tackles, which still impactful, but I think there's a higher bar for what he can become next season, and that's what he's going to aspire to do, kind of replicate what he did his sophomore year and do it at an even higher level in 26. But he's been a key piece for BYU's really good defenses the past 2 years.
A couple of years ago, when BYU had Max Tooley, they had A.J. Bongpachon, and I'm like, and you lose all those linebackers, and I'm thinking they're going to be in trouble. And the fact that they take another step in, not just they match that level, they go way higher with Glasker and Kelly, who, by the way, we'll announce his name a little bit later. You can guarantee that. But I think what they've done with their linebackers over the last 2 years has been fantastic.
Yeah, they've been really good. And Glasker, he's taking his time too. I mean, once was a wide receiver in high school, then safety, and then moves up in the box. He's really found his stride at that position, and now his cousin's going to be joining the program. So it's a family connection at BYU. Even though he told me he grew up a Utah fan.
Yeah,
which was kind of fun to hear that because I didn't really realize that he grew up a Utah fan. But Glasker's a heck of a player, and I think he's got NFL in his future, but he's got to stay healthy because that's kind of what limited him from being at his best throughout the 2025 season.
Well, Josh, let's talk about a guy that you and I covered extensively, coming in at number 12, Bryson Barnes, quarterback at Utah State. Of course, started at Utah and got appearances in back-to-back Rose Bowls with unfortunate injuries to starting quarterbacks. But Bryson Barnes was a perfect fit at the right time, at the right place at Utah State, especially last year with Bronco Mendenhall. He was a Bronco guy, and you met Bryson, and you knew immediately, like, this guy's going to connect with Bronco, and they did. And honestly, he would have been, if Utah State just had a mediocre offensive line, he would have been your Mountain West Conference Player of the Year. I have no doubt in that whatsoever. They win 2 or 3 more games because what Bryson did last year with the pressure that he was under and the amount of sacks, he took 37 sacks last year. And that doesn't count the hits after throws, too, that are just as damaging. He was an absolute warrior and one of the favorite players to cover last year, period.
Well, that's the thing about him is he's everything for your team that you need him to be, right? He's the ultimate grit player. He's the ultimate hard worker. He will do everything it takes to win. And I love that his last season he's paired with Bronco because the year before
that was a mess.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
But with Bronco, the two of them just seemed to be on the exact same page. They knew exactly what they needed to be, and he absolutely embodied it. And then you throw in Kevin McGibbon. We're talking about him a ton right now.
Yeah.
And it was just this perfect storm of the type of player that he can be. Bryson was always a talented quarterback. That was seen in the Rose Bowl when the first time you got to see him at Utah. He was a great asset at Utah with what he needed to do. He just there was a disconnect there, and so the fact that he was able to get that with Bronco Mendenhall, I love it. The fact that he could go out that way is like the perfect story because I think he's absolutely deserving of that to be able to come from such a low-level school in the state, not because of it's a low class, it's just there's not a lot of people, and he comes out there and he just dominates, and he shows kind of who he is as a player, and I love it. I think it's a great opportunity.
And he leads Utah State, too, to a bowl game with a schedule that had A&M, a playoff team, Vanderbilt knocking on the door of the playoff. New Mexico was really good. I mean, Scotty, but like Boise State, that was a tough schedule, and he gets into a postseason. I think it's a great pull that I think he was better than Colin Drea from UNLV, from Mountain West Offensive Player there. I think he should have won the award, but like you said, the offensive line kind of let him down a little bit in that regard.
The amount of hits he took this year, I know there's not a lot of quarterbacks that would have been able to play all games with the amount of contact that he took. All right, we'll take a break, come back, and get to your top 11 players in the state of Utah. Kenny's hanging out with us. We're live at Kenny J's Barbecue in the district in South Jordan. And if you haven't heard Kenny's story, life was pretty good for you. You're running banks, you're having a good time, and then you think, you know what? I want to just drop all of it and start my own barbecue joint. And, man, I love seeing people come here, try your barbecue, because it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a crazy almost year. Wouldn't change a thing. Was kind of tired of working for other people and doing stuff for them and helping them get what they want and so focus on ourselves and what we love doing. And so,
did you? What kind of work went into putting those smokers in the back and building those out?
Well, so we did it a little bit backwards because the smokers didn't get done in time. But yeah, it was forklifts and like just moving them an inch at a time, especially the big one, the big rotisserie. So yeah, next time, which it's big news. We're looking for the next year, looking to do another location. So
let's go.
Yeah, probably a year out or so. We're looking around and trying to find a property.
You need another guy that comes in at 2 a.m. because I'm your guy. Sign me up.
Okay. You're gonna hands them.
Yeah. Well, no. I still need the day job, but
okay.
This can be my my side hustle.
Sure.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Because this barbecue is just incredible. If you haven't tried it, you need to get down here. You're getting 10% off if you mention the Zone. They got the burn ends today and tomorrow, correct?
Yep. Fridays and Saturdays every week.
And one thing that we don't talk a lot about, because we're all about the brisket and the burn ends and the pulled pork, but I'm telling you, the turkey is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's one of our top sellers, actually.
It's so good. Come by, check it all out. It's Kenny J's Barbecue in the district in South Jordan. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Win big this Wednesday on the KSL Sports Zone with Win Ticket Wednesday. This week, win tickets to Stain Break the Cycle 25th Anniversary Tour featuring Cedar with special guests Hoobastank and Hinder. Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater October 7th. Get tickets at LiveNation.com and listen to the KSL Sports Zone Wednesday for your chance to win. Stay up to date with everything Utah Jazz related with the new Jazz Notes newsletter. Get draft updates, analysis, and be the first to know about every off-season move. Visit KSLSports.com to sign up for the Jazz Notes newsletter.
My perfect day has sand, salt water, and friends. But my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out of the moment. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, most people saw 90% clearer skin, and many were even 100% plaque-free at 4 months. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word SECURE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and their thousands of great reviews prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text SECURE to the number 989898 for your free gold IRA info kit. Again, SECURE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
Arrive in style for all of life's events, from the first suit to the first dance, from preparing to serve to standing side by side, starting a life together. At every age, at every milestone, Mr. Mac helps you feel confident and prepared by showing up looking your best no matter where life takes you. Locally owned and operated for nearly 60 years. Mr. Mac, helping you look your best for all of life's events.
If you've been disappointed by underachieving savings, a high-yield certificate from America First can be a fantastic way to help your money start doing more. Whether you're planning for an upcoming expense or just want to save smarter and earn bigger, America First's flexible certificates are an outstanding way to grow your cash. So don't wait to get your money working. Head to americafirst.com and open a high-yield certificate today. Membership eligibility terms, conditions, and change apply. Fees could reduce account earnings. Federally insured by NCUA.
These days, many companies have turned to influencers to tout their products or services. But here at John Watson Chevrolet, the only endorsement we need is from our customers. Because of their feedback, we're proud to be Utah's best reviewed Chevy dealer. Visit us today to see why we get reviews like,
"Their sales team is the best. Didn't put on any pressure, just super helpful and fun. They made the process a breeze."
John Watson Chevrolet, your 5-star Chevy dealer. 3535 Wall Avenue, Ogden. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's. Drop in for one of our delicious gourmet burgers made with 100% choice Grand Chuck. We're in Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, and Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
97.5 KZNS FM Colville, 1280 KZNS AM Salt Lake City, and KSL FM HD2 Salt Lake City Mid-Van. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, folks. Hour number 3 of the program. Hour number 2 of the re-rank special. Scott Garrard alongside Josh Furlong, your Ute insider, KSL.com, and from KSLSports.com, Mitch Harper, who's been covering BYU forever, kind enough to hang out with us. All right, so let's get right to it. In fact, let me reset the previous list. Coming in at 25, John Miller, Noah Avenger from Utah State, J.J. Buchanan at 23, Jackson Benny, 22, Bruce Mitchell, 21, Ryan Davis, 20, Smith Snowden at 19, Dallin Bentley at 18, Carson Ryan, 17, Evan Johnson at 16. Coming in at 15 was Bird Ficklin, Wayshawn Parker at 14, Isaiah Glasker, number 13, and Bryson Barnes at number 12. If you want to see the full list, Maddie will have it posted at the end of the show up at KSLSports.com. Another interesting player that's got ties now to multiple schools here in the state, Braden Pagan, was a great wide receiver last year at Utah State with Bryson Barnes, and now he makes his way with his offensive coordinator to come down to Utah. And I'm again a little partial because I like Braden a lot, and I love calling a lot of his stuff. He's not your burner, but he does fit that Ryan Davis kind of mold that they had last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is how Utah's going to utilize him. They're going to try to utilize him in kind of maybe the wide receiver one, but in a different way than most wide receiver ones are used. But, I think Utah saw the success that he had at Utah State, was a valuable asset for Bryson Barnes. Obviously lived in the Kevin McGiven offense and did really, really well. And if Utah can get half of that production, they want more than that, obviously. But if they can get that production out of him, they're in a good spot. And I think, Pagan has an opportunity to continue to cement himself in maybe the future, right? Like, you would know best if he has an NFL career. But I think the fact that you can have a guy that could, approach 1,000 yards, if he could do that for Utah, he would be their first one since, I believe, Drez Anderson.
Yeah, I know, crazy.
Which is wild. I mean, I know Darren Carrington was, a few yards off, but if he can get anywhere near that, I mean, I think that's a huge win for Utah and what they're able to do, because it certainly was certainly successful at Utah State.
Did a really good job getting off press coverage. He's got, you make your joke however you want here. He's got sneaky athleticism. He's got sneaky speed.
We know what you're saying.
Yeah, he's not gonna burn it up. But
he's Ryan Davis.
He's Ryan Davis. I mean, that's really. I mean, it's spot on. But I'm fired up to see what he does. Kevin McGiven and that offense, and I think he meshes very well with Devin Dampier and that offense. All right, coming in at number 10, let's go back to BYU. Mitch, Tanner Wall checking in at 10.
Former walk-on, became a first-team All-Big 12 safety, and it's quite the story. I mean, he was such a good athlete out of high school, and his dream was to always play at BYU, and kind of just the perfect program guy. And he was impactful, and I thought he was excellent. 71 tackles, had a pick 6, but he always made key plays, and he knew the defense inside and out. He had the trust of Jay Hill, which I think was significant considering Jay Hill coached the safeties. He played the position. He had a high bar for what he wanted from the safety spot, and Tanner Wall exceeded that. I thought he was outstanding, and I'm curious to see if he becomes maybe an undrafted free agent. I don't know if he'll be a draft pick, but I think he gets an opportunity because he did so much. He played on special teams. He did a lot of different things for this BYU team, and he was always that guy. We know in this line of work there's always some guys that when it's a loss, you probably know who's going to hit the mic and take the one for the team, and that was Tanner Wall for BYU. Whenever there was adversity, he'd face the music and speak for the team. Like he just kind of embodies what BYU wants its football players to kind of represent, and that's Tanner Wall, and he was a really good player. He's going to be tough to replace. I mean, BYU's got some good talent returning, and we'll talk about one of them coming up, but Tanner Wall was very good. He was consistent for the last 3 years. In the transition to the Big 12, Tanner Wall was a mainstay.
Well, and there's no doubt there are certain guys that have that impact on the locker room. You can tell Tanner Wall was certainly that guy. Let's move to number 9, wide receiver for BYU, Chase Roberts. A good year for Chase. Fired up to see what his future holds as well.
Chase was a really good player for BYU, and I'll admit I think last season was a little bit of a step back compared to 2024. He had a lot of attention thrown his way. I mean, he was coming back from a shoulder injury that he suffered in the Alamo Bowl. Maybe that put him a little bit behind. But Chase Roberts, impactful, and he was steady for the past 4 years for BYU. I think that he was not when you think of like a top receiver, some of the greats at BYU, like a Colley or a Puka Nacua, he's not a game changer, but man, he was reliable. You could always count on him, and he had some big catches for BYU. That touchdown against Utah where he invented a new hand gesture that they called the Super Y. Chase Roberts was really good, and he opened it up for the Carson Ryans and Parker Kingston's too. I know Parker Kingston no longer with the program, but Parker Kingston in large part became BYU's number one receiver in terms of receiving yards because I think of a lot of the attention given to Chase Roberts. So that can't be undersold, and he dealt with injuries too late in the season. He had the hamstring that he suffered against Cincinnati, so it was kind of an up and down year a little bit, but man, he was impactful, and when he was on, he was steady.
Well, and I think he may be a victim of our projections for him,
and I think that's a good point.
And so I don't want that to limit what he did last year. I mean, he had 800 yards receiving and 54 catches, led the team in receiving touchdowns with 6. Just a really, really great player. And sometimes if a player doesn't live up to the expectations we set for them, then we knock him down a little bit. But you mentioned the injuries. A guy that's been a steadying force for BYU this year, or last year.
Yeah, he was good. And I think, too, that he will be tough to replace because looking forward, BYU does not have anyone that you can confidently say is a number one or even a number two or maybe even a number three. You knew when Chase Roberts was on the field, you're going to get some level of production. And that's absent now from BYU's offense going forward. And, he again kind of looking ahead with the NFL. He went through the East-West Shrine game. I don't know if he's a draft pick. Like I always think of if Puka Nacua, how elite he was. We knew all locally how good he was out of high school. If that's a fifth-rounder, I think Chase is probably like a seventh-round guy, undrafted free agent, but I think like Tanner Wall, he'll be someone they'll find a way to stick onto a roster and uplift the locker room because that's what he was for BYU.
Yeah, and I do think he's the kind of guy that probably doesn't get drafted, but then all of a sudden we'll see some reports from some camp somewhere like, hey, this guy's turning some heads.
Yeah.
This guy's making it happen. All right, back-to-back BYU players, Mr. Satawala coming in at number 8.
Satawala has the potential, Falatau, to be, I think, an all-timer at BYU in terms of the safety position. Second-team All-American by the Football Writers Association of America. He took off after that Arizona game when Raider DeMooney went down with an injury. That was the opening that created a full-time starter spot for Falatau. It was always noteworthy how early in the season it was, he was the third guy, and he was kind of taking over some snaps for Tanner Wall or Raider DeMooney. BYU was always trying to find ways to get Falatau on. They were kind of in this tricky spot where it was like, we want to respect the upperclassmen and Wall and DeMooney, but we know this Satawala guy has a higher ceiling, and he can be big time. And when DeMooney, which was unfortunate at the time, but it's like it created the opening for Satawala to take off, and he was awesome for BYU. He had a pick 6 that was kind of a game clincher against Iowa State. I thought that was one of his great moments of the season. Hard hitter. He led the team in tackles, 84 tackles for BYU, forced fumbles, sack, pass deflections. He could do it all. And big expectations. He was the guy that I think naturally all of us looked and said, okay, because of the level of commitment that was put into the resources to get him in the recruitment. It was a BYU-Utah battle. You just thought, okay, he's going to follow Jay Hill to Michigan, but BYU retained him, and he announced it moments after Jay Hill was officially announced to Michigan. That was huge for BYU and spoke to Kalani's program that Falatau was invested into this program, but huge expectations. I think he could go down, potentially as one of the all-timers. If his career continues to progress, as we saw this year, he's going to be a really good one for BYU in the future.
Well, another guy that we may talk about as an all-timer, Caleb Lomu at the University of Utah, checking in at number 7. Most draft projections have him as a first-round pick, as well as Spencer Fano, who we'll talk about later as well. But Josh, I want to get your thoughts on what he meant to that team, and both he and Spencer anchoring that offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the season, there was a lot of expectations placed on both of them. And like you said, we'll talk about Spencer a little bit more. But Caleb was the guy that many saw maybe isn't as refined right now, but he has a higher potential in the NFL, which says a ton about who he can be and his longevity in the sport. But the thing is, both of these guys lived it up at Utah, right? They knew the expectations. They knew what was going to come. You knew as a left tackle that you're going to get a ton of pressure. You're going to get the best of whatever team has for you. And he held firm. He didn't allow a sack. I think he allowed maybe like 2 hurries the entire season. I mean, this is a guy that was incredibly efficient in one of the most pivotal positions on the offensive line and helped anchor what Utah needed for them, especially for Devin Dampier, especially for that run game. You know, he's just a guy that's that prototypical offensive line that's no nonsense, just kind of eats the way that he needs to and does what he needs to do and doesn't worry about anything else. And it was completely efficient for Utah. The fact that you had both of these guys anchoring both sides of the line really helped Utah with what they were able to do. You know, and I think he's a guy that he came in a little bit later than Spencer. They came in the same class, but Spencer came in spring. He had to wait until the traditional time that you come in and join. A lot that he gave up, and there's still many things that you can utilize or he can utilize to get better. But I think, you know, he's a guy that absolutely helped anchor that offense for the Utes, especially coming off of a 5-7 season where they needed a lot of success and a lot of faith put into them, and a major part of that.
Jim Harding has been such a staple at Utah for so many years as bringing so many offensive line, obviously tutoring them, coaching them up, and getting them into the NFL. Jordan Gross certainly has the resume as a player. I do think there's some people out there that might be a bit concerned about his ability to coach at the Big 12 level, but a familiar face, Gerke's back to try to help out a little bit there as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a natural, you know, you're going to have to move up to the next level, right? Coaching high school is completely different than coaching at the collegiate level. But I think the way that he's, you know, he was able to coach up a 5-star offensive tackle shows that he's got at least some understanding of what it takes. Clearly he played it, and he played it at an efficient level. Everybody talks about how incredible he is and smart as he is. So, I you know, there's going to be a learning curve, and I think it's going to take some time. But I don't think that Utah's necessarily going to take a huge step back because of his brilliance in just understanding the game. That it'll help. They've got talent. They've got guys that are coming back that you know, they've had some success with. But yeah, there's going to be a learning curve. It's not going to be Jim Harding back there. But I think if there's anybody that you can trust, Jordan Gross is at least a guy that you can at least throw some, you know, be happy with when it's all said and done.
All right, we've got the top 6 coming up right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We got a couple quarterbacks. We got a linebacker. You know, there's a lot of positions left up for grabs here as we announce the top 6 football players from last year's college football season. As I tell you what, we're down here at Kenny J's. Best barbecue. You don't need a ranking here. It just starts with 1. It's Kenny J's Barbecue here in the state of Utah. And, you know, you can advertise like crazy, and we appreciate you being a part of the zone, but ultimately it's word of mouth. And if people have a bad experience, then they're done. They're not coming back. But you've got some regulars because they know what they're going to get here time and time and time again.
Yeah, I had a customer in the other night, and he said, I usually, when I don't recognize someone, I'll ask them, hey, how did you hear about us, right? So it's kind of like I'm trying not to do it to everybody, but this guy just kind of caught my eye, and I said, how did you hear about us? And he said, I found you a month ago. He says, I'm from Harriman. And he goes, I've been in here 9 times.
9 times.
9 times.
That is awesome.
In a month. And I'm just like, hey, slow down a little bit so you don't so you don't get sick of us.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the kind of thing, the loyalty, because when you always want to have your barbecue joint. You know, Josh and I were talking about barbecue and how much we love it, and you just want to have that place, your place. And we were talking to a lovely couple from Blanding who came up here, and his wife really doesn't like barbecue, but she loves Kenny J's barbecue. He's got family that doesn't necessarily like barbecue, but this is the barbecue they like because they taste the quality here.
Yeah, I think he said they don't want to. It's hard to spend a lot of money and then just not have quality. And if you feel like you didn't have quality, just come talk to me and we'll figure out a way to make it right.
Well, and that's the thing. I know that not a lot of people can take you up on that offer because everybody is enjoying what they have here. Yeah. Quality meats. You cook it the right way. You use the post oak. You've got that Central Texas kind of feel to it. There's a lot of different styles, but I think most people that love barbecue love that Central Texas, and you've honed it in with the post oak and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, they do their own marketing, right? I mean, people vacation to Central Texas just to eat barbecue, to go all over Central Texas and kind of out the outskirts of that to eat at all the top 50 Texas monthly barbecue joints, and like they literally have a book and they're going through it. Okay, this is, so it's crazy, and it's something that we want to bring here, where it's people aren't going to come vacation here just to go to Kenny J's, but that you get the same kind of experience, right?
But they're coming
from a feel of the restaurant, from the food, just that type of experience.
Kenny J's Barbecue. It's the district in South Jordan. Come on by and try this barbecue. It's absolutely incredible. If you're not one of the people that have been here 9 times and you're going to try it for the first time, well, you're going to have an experience. And plus, we'll even give you 10% off if you mention the zone. It's 10% off this Kenny J's Barbecue. It's absolutely incredible, folks. And you got the burn ends today and tomorrow. And these are as good a burn ends as you'll have anywhere in the world, let alone the state of Utah. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Gentlemen, I've got to catch a flight to lovely Reno, Nevada.
Lovely.
I'm very excited for this. Utah State, Nevada coming up tomorrow in basketball. So Jake Hatch is here. He'll take over as you got the fun stuff. This is the one that everybody, I'm sure, will agree on. You won't get any bad reaction whatsoever. Top 6 players being announced coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
One of Adam Silver's biggest problems is that he is not consistent at all, and he sets all these crazy precedents that he doesn't live up to, or he sets a precedent he could never live up to. He can't sit there and manage Will Hardy's lineup.
If you want to say conduct detrimental to the NBA, that could be every single night in the NBA with what happens with rotations or who's available and who's not available that doesn't apply to the player participation policy. The Jazz can rest Yusuf Nurkic all they want. He's not in the player participation policy. But if suddenly the NBA says, well, that's detrimental to the NBA and we're going to fine you anyways, then this opens a can of worms that you can't enforce every night because you can't fine your teams every single night they step on the court.
Because he doesn't care about policy and never has. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Catch Jake and Ben weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Huge fans of Advanced Windows and what they can do for you. Advanced has been in business here in the state of Utah. We're talking about Kenny J and word of mouth. Look, you don't last several generations of a business if you're not treating people the right way. Advanced Windows is going to make sure you're taken care of and you get the best windows manufactured here locally, specifically designed for your home, measured absolutely spot on. There won't be any mistakes, but you know what? If there is, guess what? They're local. You'll be warranted. You'll be ready to go. But I don't think you're going to need that because you've got an incredible company led by Nate Orchard, one of the best Utes of all time. Jake Weber, that's a crew that's going to make sure quality and the price is right. And you're also going to get those windows installed in 8 weeks or less. Go to advancedwindows.com. I want you to go to advancedwindows.com right now. You'll get $2,500 off when you swap out 10 windows or more at advancedwindows.com.
Start the new year strong with a Hercules Gold Tier checking account. Earn up to 4.25% APY and make your money work harder for you. This account combines high rewards with everyday convenience so you can reach your goals faster. Open your Gold Tier checking account today and let's grow stronger together in 2026. Visit HerculesCU.com to learn more. Hercules First Federal Credit Union. Growing stronger together for 80 years.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Deep, deep discounts. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today. 801-210-6800. That's 801-210-6800.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Scotty G and Friends. We're going to be putting the friends to work here because Scotty G is off to Reno, Nevada. I'm Jake Hatch, filling in for the final stanza of the show today alongside Josh Furlong and Mitch Harper. Gentlemen, thanks for having me along for the ride for the final half hour.
It's good to always talk football with you,
Absolutely.
Jake. We do it all the time at the student-athlete building.
We've also been blaming you this whole time, so it's finally good to have you here.
I fully expected that, I'm not going to lie. There's a fun story, and Lloyd knows this story, about a former producer of ours that made one of the biggest faux pas in 60 and 60 history that we've never let him live down, even though he no longer works with us. Let's just put it that way. So always fun. I do want to remind you guys that we are brought to you by our friends over at U of U Health. At University of Utah Health, hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. All right. So we are down to the final 6 of the top 25 rankings of the 60 and 60 here, gentlemen. And we're going to start to court some controversy right about
Let's go. It's that Joker gif, and here we go.
Exactly.
Let's set it off right now.
So at number 6, we are diving into the quarterback debate here. And at number 6, Devin Dampier. Well, Mr. Josh.
All right, let's do this.
Break down QB1 up on the hill for us.
So I personally had Devin higher, and it's not because I cover the U, though that does give me a different, interesting perspective.
Fair.
But I think with what Devin did for this Utah team based off of the year prior, he was everything for that team, right? You go from 5-7. Yeah. Anybody around the program realizes like how down and in the dumps everybody was. There was like literally no hope going into the next season because everybody thought that it was going to be another 5-7 season. Did Kyle have what it took to get Utah to that level again? Devin completely changed that rhetoric instantly. Whether it was from his smile with what he did with the locker room and kind of the culture that he brought there, completely changed the game. Now, when you're looking at him from the stats, yeah, he's probably not going to be the highest here, right? Like Bear Bachmeier is going to be higher now. We can say that.
Yes.
He has better stats than like Devin, or Bear has better stats than Devin. Mm-hmm. But as a whole, I think with the complete picture, Devin was a complete game changer for this Utah team to get them to an 11-2 season. You get him another season. It just kind of gives you that trajectory that Utah's hoping. You kind of get that bridge, especially for Morgan Scally as he's coming in, and he becomes just this great kind of figure where it's not forced, right? Like it's something that feels so natural and it makes it so easy. And he can run the ball, he can pass the ball. And quite honestly, we didn't really get to see a lot of his level because he was injured all season. They kept it under wraps that he needed surgery.
It was sports hernia,
A sports hernia, yes. So they kept it under wraps that he had a sports hernia that lingered him all year. He had an ankle injury that he lingered with all year. Like, injuries happen in football, so it's not like we're going to sit here and try to downplay everything. But the fact that he was able to do what he did with those types of injuries kind of shows the level of player that he can be. He was more efficient than what he was at New Mexico, which was his biggest knock, is like, oh, can he do that in the Big 12? And he did it. So, like, whether you have him at 6, whether you have him wherever, I don't think it really matters ultimately, because I think what he does for the program changed everything for Utah, and that gave them hope.
So, Mitch, real quick on Dampier, I use the term heart and soul in terms of what Dampier meant for the Utah football program. Because to what you're talking about, Josh, and your thought on this, Mitch, is that everything he did, he really kind of just embodied everything Utah was a season ago.
Definitely. And, I think that Devin Dampier really, to Josh's point, gives a completely different outlook of what Utah's viewed offensively, because that first year in the Big 12, Utah, it was bleak. I mean, if Utah had scored just like 14 points in some games, they win probably an extra 2 games that season and go to the postseason. Devin Dampier was really good. I do think the injuries, though, you saw it like in that. I remember that BYU game, the second half, and Whittingham at the time kind of downplayed it, but it was clear as day that Dampier wasn't healthy. I think that kind of limited him, obviously, this season. I still think there's some questions, though, about a little bit of the accuracy late in the season. You get down to like 60%. If he can level that thing up, I mean, there's no reason that these 2 quarterbacks in the state can't be the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. I think Dampier is dynamic. I was really impressed, though, with his 5-to-1 TD to INT ratio, because I really thought that was going to be a mixed bag. I honestly thought going into the year, you're going to have some moments where he's going to throw some picks, but, man, he's going to be dynamic. He really didn't have that issue. I am curious, though, in 2026, how he fares without elite tackles, though. That'll be something I'm kind of curious to see how that gets answered this year. But I think Dampier, though, was excellent. Everything that Utah could have wanted and more.
Well, and I think part of that, he has happy feet at times, especially late in the season. Yeah. He wasn't setting his feet. He was kind of getting a little too antsy in the pocket, trying to maybe do too much. And so that needs to be cleaned up. Yeah. But I think to that point, you're not going to have your tackles, plus you're not going to have your security blanket of Ryan Davis. You're going to have to find some new guys to throw to, and luckily he has a lot of these guys that are coming back, plus he's adding new ones, where if they can get that to gel, maybe he can take that next step. But you're not wrong. Like, there was times where, in that Kansas game, we got an interesting view because we were at the end zone view instead of where we're usually at like a 50-yard-ish line. Yeah. And it was crazy to kind of watch him go through his progressions, and it was just kind of so different from the beginning of the season, where he was a little bit more calm and collective, where in this he was like scrambling and he wasn't setting his feet and he was just really kind of out of sync. It worked. He found ways to do it, but I think for him to take that next level, that's where he needs to be. Is he needs to find some consistency, some rhythm there. You have to hope that Kevin McGivern and his quarterback coach is going to kind of settle him in and allow him to kind of continue to develop as a player.
All right, up next, number 5. Next quarterback on the list, Bear Bachmeier. And, Josh, you talked about it. Stats, obviously, superior to what Devin Dampier produced. Mitch, give us a sense of what Bear Bachmeier accomplished as a true freshman, and obviously now looking ahead to what should be a fairly phenomenal sophomore year.
Yeah, Big 12 Offensive Freshman of the Year, and he arrives in June, and he was excellent. I'm curious, did you guys, you said you had Dampier higher.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit I had Bear higher. Jake, did you have Bear higher?
I am pulling it right now. I had Bear 2 spots in front of Devin.
Okay. I just think it was a close call. I mean, I had him right back to back on my ranking.
Yeah.
I think Bear, what was so impressive to me is just he felt very mature. He just didn't seem fazed at all by anything. And I think what was probably the most empowering thing for him was that Aaron Roderick almost gave him just the feeling like you never have to look over your shoulder.
Correct.
I was kind of surprised by that because I thought if you're going to hand the keys to a freshman, and yes, you're going to ride with him, but if it ever bottoms out, you got to make a change. And there was never that feeling of happening. Against Arizona where they pulled out a big win, he struggled mightily passing the football, but those moments were few and far between. For the most part, he was pretty accurate, and I thought that's what really impressed me the most. I think there were times where I had questions about his arm strength because BYU relies so heavily on explosive plays. The best BYU offenses under Roderick have always had explosive playmaking ability, but I think what maybe made me feel that he can be a great passer is those games, Iowa State and Texas Tech, the Pop-Tarts Bowl against Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Those 2 games without L.J. Martin, where he had probably his best passing performances, I thought this guy can get it done through the air because up until that point, it's a lot of relying on L.J. and also Bear's ability to run.
Correct.
But Bear did show that he can win a game with his arm, and that's what he did against Iowa State and in the Pop-Tarts Bowl against Georgia Tech.
All right, we are going to stick down in Provo with number 4 on this list. And when you do something that has not happened in the 10 years that Kalani Sitake has been a head coach, you accomplished something pretty remarkable, and that's Jack Kelly at number 4 here, Mitch. First guy to have double-digit sacks under Kalani Sitake, and I think it kind of showed when they brought him from Weber State. He was everything BYU hoped he could be.
I'm glad that you bring that up, Jake, because first time in the Kalani era. I mean, Josh knows as well as anyone. It's like Sack Lake City.
Yeah.
That's why I think every Cougar fan thought was Kalani was going to bring was Sack Lake City. Where are the sacks? It's not happening. It's taken a decade. Finally, Jack Kelly delivered that, and he became he was an excellent football player.
Yeah.
13.5 tackles for loss, 4th in the Big 12. He even had a touchdown in that opener against Portland State. But I like, too, that Jack Kelly, he emerged as a captain, very quiet guy. I mean, when he arrived on campus from Weber State, I don't think he really ever spoke in front of a mic before and really kind of found his personality, too, a little bit at BYU. And I think that reflected a little bit in his play. He's always been a high-level performer. That's why Jay Hill wanted him. But I like, too, that last summer at Big 12 Media Day, he's like, I want double-digit sacks.
Yeah.
Like, that was a point of emphasis for him, and I think he needed that because that's, I think, the big reason why he's going to the Combine. I know, BYU's new DC, Kelly Papinga, said in the past, sacks are, what was the word he used, pointless or not that big of a deal. They are. Teams will pay a premium if you can get to the quarterback, and Jack Kelly did that a lot for BYU, and his closing speed, too.
Yeah.
A great athlete, and he's burly, too. He's got huge size. His speed kind of surprises you with how big he is, but he was really good for BYU.
Yeah, Josh, you'll get a kick out of this because I hear from teams that can't sack the quarterback that they're overrated. They're not that big of a deal. But when you're a program like Utah who gets them on the regular, it's like, oh, no, they do have a big impact.
Well, it's funny because, the 2024 season, I think they had only a handful. Like, you can count on one hand.
Yeah.
11.
Okay, 2 hands. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was so different because in years past, it was like 25, 27,
Correct.
30 sacks, and it was a complete difference. And it's like you're trying to massage this rhetoric of like, it doesn't matter because we got in the backfield. It's like, no, it does matter because you're making stops, right?
Yeah.
Like, clearly there's other stats that matter, but yeah, I mean, to have a linebacker like that to be able to get into the backfield, like, to me, Jack Kelly embodies kind of the Bryson Barnes of a team, right? He's just this grit guy. He just doesn't really kind of demand a lot of attention, even though he got a lot of attention, and he just does it.
Yeah.
And as a linebacker, you kind of have to be a little crazy and just kind of just put your body on the line, and clearly he did that. I mean, opposing teams, he was always going to be the number 1 guy on the scouting report on the defense just because of how phenomenal of an athlete he was, and you saw that, right? Like from the 2 years that he was at BYU, he just embraced the culture, and he just did everything that Jay Hill wanted him to do and turned out to be a phenomenal player.
I remember when he got that that left arm injury against West Virginia, and that was paired up with Glasgow was dealing with his ankle from the Colorado injury, and I'm thinking, Kelly, I was like, this is probably going to be an extended period of time he misses. He only missed the Arizona game. He somehow came back for the Utah game. He missed the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I think that was kind of just, hey, rest. You've had a great career. Get ready for the NFL. But that guy, I mean, to your point, Josh, gritty. I mean, he checked that thing and got out there for a rivalry game. He wanted that one. And, I mean, he dealt with that left arm injury for pretty much the rest of the season, but he still performed at a high level. Speaks to his investment, the buy-in into the program, and then it showed up with him being one of the top players on the defense.
Yeah, he was a BMX rider growing up. You can kind of see that in the way he played the game. There was no excuses. He just went out there and played ball. All right, we are down to the final three, gentlemen. So coming up next, we reveal who the top 3 players in the state of Utah from the 2025 football season were. More in a moment right here on Scotty G and Friends, with the emphasis on the Friends.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
There's the know it when you see it aspect of it. Fine. If you want to say, I can tell the Jazz are tanking because they're not playing their guys in the fourth quarters, regardless of the outcome, they're trying to do something differently. Fine. But are you saying you didn't watch the Sacramento Kings in their final game before the All-Star break and that wasn't a team trying to lose?
They don't care about policy. They don't care about even application of that. It would be impossible. By the way, the Jazz / many other teams compromised their integrity years ago, decades ago for some teams. Did you not see what the Spurs did in the 90s to get Tim Duncan? I remember when they were tanking to get John Morant. Marc Gasol actually talked about it after the game. He was upset. He didn't play the entire second half.
Of a game against the Jazz.
A game against the
Where
Jazz.
He had like 20
here
in the first half.
Salt Lake. Sat the entire second half. So did you not see it then?
Exactly right.
So are you an idiot or are you corrupt?
Catch Jake and Ben weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The show may be over, but the deals are still on at Paris RV.
How about an Easy Tow with a 25 Rockwood 190 OTG for only $7,995 or $129 a month? How about some bunks? Hook up to the 26 Heartland Prowler 2500 bunkhouse for only $17,995 or $205 a month. Want to stay put for a while? Then put the 26 Forest River Cherokee Timberwolf 20 OG destination trailer in the spot of your dreams for only $44,995 or $456 a month. Only
at Paris RV.
Paris RV is your locally owned, family-run RV dealership. We strive hard to find the very best RVs for the price. With 4 locations, over 1,000 RVs in stock, 42 service bays, and 4 super parts stores, we're sure to help take your family on the best RV vacation. Check out our perfect family bunkhouse trailer, the 26BH, that sleeps 9 for $19,995 or $227 a month. Zero down. Life is short. Enjoy it. North Murray, South Murray, Payson, and Pocatello. ParisRV.com.
Arrive in style for all of life's events, from the first suit to the first dance, from preparing to serve to standing side by side, starting a life together. At every age, at every milestone, Mr. Mac helps you feel confident and prepared by showing up looking your best no matter where life takes you. Locally owned and operated for nearly 60 years. Mr. Mac, helping you look your best for all of life's events.
It's time to stand up for savings at Mountain Land Power Equipment. During the SCAG 2026 Stand Up for Savings event, save 15% off MSRP on select SCAG mowers, leaf blowers, and turf spreaders. Power, performance, and unbeatable durability. Now at prices. But hurry, this promotion ends March 31st, 2026. Visit mountainlandpowerequipment.com or stop by Mountain Land Power Equipment in Ogden, Salt Lake City, or Springville today. Stand up and save with SCAG. Utah Mammoth Hockey is back at Delta Center. Don't miss your chance to be part of the excitement as the Mammoth hit the ice all season long. Grab your friends, rally the family, and lock in your seats for the fast-paced, hard-hitting action. Great seats are available for most games, but they're selling fast. Head to UtahMammoth.com to get your tickets today. That's UtahMammoth.com. Your home for all things Mammoth Hockey.
The KSL Sports Zone is your home for live local sports. Tonight, the Utah Jazz are in Memphis to play the Grizzlies at 5 o'clock. Listen on 97.5 The Zone. Tomorrow, Real Salt Lake's season opener at Vancouver starts at 5:30 on 97.5 The Zone. Utah State's at Nevada. Listen to Scott Garrard from Reno at 8 o'clock on 1280 The Zone. And Iowa State's at BYU for a Big 12 game at 8:30. Listen on 102.7 FM. If you want to hear your company's name here, email Stephanie Palmer at spalmer@ksl.com and join the winning team at the KSL Sports Zone.
Adventuring in the Wasatch Back to play in the sunshine and snow? Stop into Dairy King in Heber. Now serving your favorite.
And then once he got into the games, it was just one of those moments where it's like, okay, look, you can practice great, but you're a phenomenal player on the field. And his motor was just, I love that we can talk motor, right? Like, does anyone really know what motor means? Just, he pursued those quarterbacks with, like, tenacity, right? Like, it was just phenomenal. But then you talk to him off the field, and he's like this nice guy, which... It's funny because we've all been in this long enough, and I swear the defensive linemen may be the nicest, soft-spoken people I've ever met in my life, and yet they'll destroy you on the field. And that's kind of how John Henry Daly was. Like, he just was a monster on the field where he just turned into this sack machine. He just was this phenomenal athlete for Utah, and then unfortunately he, it hasn't been reported officially, but we all believe it's an Achilles.
Yeah.
And just devastating blow for him. And now he has to try to do that at Michigan. Personally, I don't know that he's going to play this year. Michigan's being very optimistic.
And he's claiming that he's going to be ready by spring
There's
ball.
no way.
I was just like, that seems very ambitious, young man.
Like, I'm sure, like, he feels good.
Yeah,
But
sure.
to be able to have that jab step and to be able to do these different things, like, I just don't see it, which is really unfortunate because as a missionary, you're obviously going to be a little bit more delayed. I think if he had one more full season of what he did this year, he's easily an NFL player.
Yeah.
But I think now he's trying to push that timeline and trying to get there. And I just don't, unfortunately for him, I just don't think it's going to happen, at least this year, the way that he's hoping. But there's no doubt this was a guy that completely changed the tone for Utah because they were losing their star, defensive ends who still weren't kind of the level of what we talked about Sac Lake City in the past. but they were still these veteran guys that were effective, and then suddenly Utah was going to come in with a little bit more youth and trying to find some guys that were less proven, and John Henry Daly absolutely added consistency. He was a threat in the backfield. He made quarterbacks have nightmares because of what he was able to do, and was just this efficient player for Utah, and it's just unfortunate that, he didn't get to finish the way that he needed to because of an non-contact injury.
Jake, I'm glad that you brought up his time in high school, because John Henry Daly, I thought when BYU got him, that was a massive get, and losing him was a huge deal, because I remember out of high school he had 22 and a half sacks this season.
He set the single season high school record for the state of Utah.
Unreal. So if he gets healthy, he'll have an impact for Michigan. And I always like, too, when you dive into the numbers, how he had 11 and a half sacks, second in the Big 12, but 8.5 of those sacks were against P4 competition. Sometimes you can get inflated numbers in one game.
Yeah, he was
against an FCS team.
5 against an FCS team. Yeah.
He was steady across the board, and if he can recover from that Achilles injury, that lower leg that he suffered against Kansas State, that would be great. He's big time. He'll have an impact in the Big Ten. He's honestly just drew a blank. Detroit Lions, Michigan edge rusher.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, he's Aiden Hutchinson.
Yes,
that's what he is.
100%.
And that's what he'll be if he can get healthy.
Yep, absolutely. All right, number 2 on the list, the final BYU Cougar, the reigning Offensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. This is a pretty easy one, I think, for most people to consider. L.J. Martin, 1,300 yards, and he was I used the term heart and soul with Devin Dampier for Utah. Mitch, I felt like he was the heart and soul of this BYU team.
No question. L.J. Martin, BYU went as far as he was going to take him, and he took him to Arlington. And that game against Cincinnati where he's dealing with a shoulder injury, he was banged up in that last month of the season. He goes for 222, and that ultimately clinched the Big 12 championship game appearance, because no matter what happened in that regular season finale, they were in Arlington, so he got it done for them, winning that big game in Cincinnati. But, LJ, 3 straight years of leading BYU in rushing yards, and it's kind of been a slow build, brick by brick, with the ground attack for BYU in the Big 12 era, where they were maybe the nation's worst rushing offense in 2023, and it's been a slow climb. And now they're one of the best in the league and in the country, led by L.J. Martin. I think, man, he's 9th all-time in career rushing yards at BYU. This could be one of the all-timers in BYU running back history, up there with Jamal Williams, Tyler Algier, Jamal Willis. You can go on and on, Luke Staley. L.J. Martin, not many guys, I don't think ever, have had 4 straight years of being the leading rusher at BYU, and that's what's in front of L.J. in 2026.
So, Josh, you'll get a kick out of this. So he ran for 1,305 yards this past season. He's 9th all-time on BYU's list right now. If he garners 1,347 yards, so this replicates what he did this past year, he will be the all-time leading rusher in BYU football history. And that's what's out there for him. And I think that's, if based on what we saw this past year, it looks certainly attainable that he could lead BYU as the most decorated running back in program history.
Well, what I love about him is that he continues to take a step up every single year.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was able to do this last year with essentially no depth behind him, Bear was your next best option, right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that he could do that in a position that just is grueling kind of shows the work ethic that he has, right? There's no doubt that he's talented. Clearly he, put up 1,300 yards, like you said.
Yeah.
But the fact that he could continue to do it, knowing that he's going to be literally the only scouted player on offense in terms of the run game, and he still found ways to do it. Sure, Bear added some value there in terms of being able to be another guy that they could utilize, but LJ just took it to another level, and I think that really shows kind of the level of player that he can be.
Yeah.
Now, can you sustain that through another season that way with no depth again? I don't know. But I don't know that that's his fault, right? He's doing his job, and he's being phenomenal with it, and there's no reason not to have him as a number 2 player.
I have real questions about, can he stay healthy? Because each and every season, it's been various injuries for LJ, and that's it's rolling the dice a little bit in 2026 where you don't have anything proven. I thought it would have been a perfect deal for BYU to go into the portal and maybe overpay to say, hey, you're going to be the number 2, but you're going to get paid handsomely, but you're also going to have this nice pairing with LJ. I'm surprised that BYU didn't do that because they've had a lot of success in the portal. Think of Tyson Williams, Chris Brooks.
Yeah.
They've been a place that's gotten good portal running backs, but they felt like they're going to develop from within. We'll see, just because, again, each and every season, LJ has had injuries. Now, he played every game except the bowl against Georgia Tech this season, but still, Iowa State, he goes out in the first quarter. Texas Tech, he even admitted he was not confident in that shoulder, and that was a huge game. If BYU had a healthy LJ in that game in Lubbock, I don't think it would have been different too much, but like maybe he gives you he can extend drives a little bit more. They need him healthy. He's got to stay healthy because one rolled ankle, it's a completely different outlook for BYU in 2026.
There's a staff member at BYU that told me that if LJ hadn't been what he meant to BYU this year, they likely would have had him have season-ending surgery after the Iowa State game. But they knew how important he was to that offense, and he just essentially taped it up and said, let's get after it. All right, and that brings us to our final selection here, and I think this one was I think everybody could have almost guessed this coming into today, but Spencer Fano, obviously a stud. He's going to be a very, very handsomely paid offensive tackle in the NFL. And Josh, what an incredible player for 3 years at Utah and just finished his career the right way with the Outland Trophy.
Yeah, this is a guy that came in, we talked to him at Big 12 Media Days, and he knew what was on the table, right?
Yeah.
He knew that he was a first-round pick based on what the projection said. He talked about it. Mm-hmm. Which you don't get that a lot from players, right? Like they're like, oh, well, I'll just worry about this season.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Like Spencer, he embraced it, right? Like, and he used that as not even necessarily as motivation. It was more just like, now what I have to do on the field is live up to those expectations. Yes. And he did. Like, there was nothing about his game that was bad. I mean, I'm sure you could pick it apart and do that. I'm not the guy to be that way. But I think when you look at him, he was just everything that Utah needed him to be. He didn't allow many pressures. He didn't allow any sacks. He was pancaking guys left and right. He was doing things that opened up tremendous holes for Devin Dampier and Bird Ficklin and all these other players to get through, and did it in a way that was just kind of like this humble, like, I'm going to go watch anime after this because I'm having fun, right? Like, that's who he is.
Yep. Yeah.
He goes to Disneyland, and he's like this gentle giant type guy, and it was just kind of like this remarkable thing, and now he's going to potentially end up as a top 10 pick in this year's NFL draft.
He's absolutely incredible. And Mitch, you saw him in high school. I saw him in high school. Considering he went from playing for Timpview and being a stud there to being a day one starter over 3 years for Utah, what an incredible just trajectory he's on.
No question. I mean, elite athlete, too, I think, at the tackle spot. And I think also, too, much better defensive lines he faced in the Big 12 this year compared to 2024. I thought there was a big step up in competition, most notably Texas Tech, but even that game, he doesn't give up a sack. I mean, he's going up against David Bailey. I mean, some of the best
Romello Height,
some of the best edge rushers in college football. And, he had a lot of success even trying to hold off those guys. And but so I think that the level of competition in the Big 12 and the defensive line stack leveled up, and he was still elite. I mean, to Josh's point about embracing the expectations, I remember at media days where Kyle Whittingham saying this is the best offensive line ever. I mean, he's put it out there, and they lived up to it. And Spencer Fano was the key piece to all of it. And, I mean, Josh, is he the best offensive tackle in Utah football history? Is it Gross? Is it Fano? I mean, I think it's him or Gross probably.
I would have to say with Spencer right now, but it's easy to say that in immediacy, right?
Yeah.
I think Jordan Gross was such a dynamic and dominant player for Utah. We'll see, right? I think a lot of people can see Jordan and what he did in the NFL too and kind of combine that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Spencer does, but there's no doubt that this is a guy that was just coming into the season, he was going to be a number one guy.
Yes.
And he lived up to it.
Well, he embraced everything about it, too.
Exactly, and that's awesome.
Because a lot of guys don't want to do that. They want to just, I'm going to focus on me. No, he said, I get what's going on here.
Absolutely.
And the final thing I want to say, how cool was it to watch his brother announce that he won the Outland Trophy, have the whole family there? That was a really, really cool moment.
Oh, it's like they're just a true family that like they embody everything together.
Yeah.
It was cool that they got to do that together, and I think it's a cool opportunity for Spencer now, and we'll get to see what happens in April.
Yeah, we'll give a shout out to Logan, obviously his brother, who's off to the NFL with him. All right. Time now to wrap things up with the man, the myth, the legend, Kenny himself from Kenny J's Barbecue. Kenny, it's been awesome to be down here. Honestly, first thing, thank you for having us down here for this re-rank show.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys coming down. Clay hit me up on this for this show a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago. Early this year, though.
Yeah.
And I was like, hell, I don't like the start of the year business just like dropped. And this is our first year, so I didn't know that that's what it was going to do. And I was like, I don't know if I can afford to bring anybody out. But anyway, we're we're glad you guys came out and hung out with us. Kind of a little mad at Scotty for taking off.
He got to go to lovely Reno, as he says. So,
is it that bad?
I was just making fun of him because here's the thing about Reno. I didn't know this until a few years ago. They have the Pro Bowling Hall of Fame out there.
And Kyle Van Noy.
McQueen High School,
Van
man.
Noy was from.
Exactly.
Go, come on, Scotty.
So, Kenny, you've mentioned the bird ends. Those are special on Fridays and Saturdays. I've had your turkey before. I've had the brisket. I've had it all. I just want to ask you, what's the personal favorite? If Kenny's going to go back in the kitchen, what are you making?
So I kind of just throw stuff together. But so if I'm going to do what customers do, I'll probably turkey ribs.
Okay.
Every once in a while brisket.
Okay.
But that might be because it's so costly for me to produce.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just do weird stuff. I'll make weird nacho plates and just
You're
baked potatoes,
experimenting.
stuff like that. Yeah. Just for myself, I'll just anyway.
I love it. So if you want to come down here, it's in the district. You can't miss it. If you know where the movie theater's at, literally just across the street. It's a phenomenal location. And the best part about it is everything is made here, and it is authentic to the absolute bone.
Yeah, the only thing that we don't do is the cornbread.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
wow.
Because we're gluten free.
Okay.
On everything except two of our sides, macaroni and cheese and funeral potatoes, and we have a bunch of friends that are celiac, and so all of these recipes and all of this was tested by them and gave us their blessing, and so I won't do cornbread because I don't want gluten flying everywhere, right? And so that's the reason why I buy cornbread, because customers said they want it.
Okay,
I'm not going to make it.
So but
yeah.
So people can stop by any time. Give them the hours one more time if they want to stop by.
Yeah, Monday through Thursday, 11 to 8, and then Friday and Saturday, 11 to 9.
Okay. Well, thank you once again for having us out here. It's been absolutely awesome. We love coming out here. Your food's phenomenal. It's good to see people stop by. We've had a couple of listeners stop by as well.
Today.
So thank you for having us, and obviously here's many, many more hanging out with you, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, well,
Thanks, guys.
that is going to do it for this edition of Scotty G and Friends. Obviously, the emphasis on the friends here in the final stanza. But, Mitch, Josh, it's been awesome, gentlemen. Thank you for weighing in on the rankings here. I know I speak for Scotty and Lloyd when I say that. And, as always, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Turn it over next to JJ and Alex. You'll have that next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Win big this Wednesday on the KSL Sports Zone with Win Ticket Wednesday. This week, win tickets to State Break the Cycle 25th Anniversary Tour featuring Cedar with special guests Hoobastank and Hinder. Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater October 7th. Get tickets at LiveNation.com. And listen to the KSL Sports Zone Wednesday for your chance to win. Get the latest Utah sports headlines delivered to your inbox with the KSL Sports Newsletter. From the Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, BYU, Utah, Real Salt Lake, and more. Be in the know of all things sports in the state of Utah. Visit KSLSports.com to sign up for the KSL Sports Newsletter.
Do you feel behind in your retirement planning? Call Teton Wealth Group now, 435-255-6331, and our team will create for you your own complimentary Ascent plan that will show you how you can have a retirement full of purpose, prosperity, and joy. Just call Teton Wealth Group, 435-255-6331. If you're anxious about your finances in retirement, call Teton Wealth Group at 435-255-6331 for your own Ascent plan. That's 435-255-6331.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates. This weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Deep, deep discounts. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m.